ओके चेक कर लेते हैं एक बार सुनाई दे रहा है क्या बस सुनाई देता है तो लेट्स स्टार्ट
Are we audible, guys?
आई थिंक ऑडियो क्वालिटी ठीक है
ठीक है।
म्यूट कर देता हूँ ओके ठीक है सो गाइस वेलकम बैक टू अनदर सेशन एंड हम लोग बहुत टाइम से सेशन कंडक्ट करवाने की ट्राई कर रहे हैं सो बेसिकली वेलकम टू द स्ट्रीम एंड नाउ मोस्ट ऑफ यू आर द जेई एस्पिरेंट्स फॉर 2026 में जो अभी चालू होगा उसके लिए so we are very well aware ki the rounds will start happening in January and April. तो जेई मेंस का फर्स्ट सेशन होने वाला है अप्रैल में एंड द सेकेंड सेशन विल बी सॉरी फर्स्ट सेशन होने वाला है जनवरी में एंड द सेकेंड सेशन विल बी इन अप्रैल एंड अभी सितंबर खत्म हो रहा है तो आर very important goal should be ki what should we be doing for the next 3.5 months to ensure
Right.
that we do very good in JEE Mains so that if possible we can also shift our focus to JEE Advanced based on your level of preparation. So for that, I have my friend Parv over here. He's from IIT Bombay Economics branch and I am from IIT Bombay Metallurgy branch. And he is also the career cell head here at IIT Bombay and he overlooks a lot of things. And you guys already know me. Some of you might have come from the WhatsApp community where we are having quite some active discussions about preparation and all, and it is just going to increase now on. So, yeah. So you guys can feel free to leave any of your questions about preparations that you have in the comment section, and we'll be answering all of them if possible. And yeah, this is basically just to improve your strategy for the next 3.5 months.
So that basic motivation and the takeaway that you should have from the session is all of you leave with a strategy uh, of your own personalized strategy कि कैसे you have to go about preparing for JEE mains in advance we want to for the next 3 and 4 months. तो सब मतलब after all strategy is personalized. हम थोड़ा बहुत we'll be talking about some general things and we'll try to personalize it during the session. But please keep on asking doubts through the comments. Just say we are able to best help you.
Yes. So, firstly, we want to talk about what you should be doing for the next 8 weeks for like the month of October and November, and after that, how you should go on with giving tests in December and along with that in January as well, because we believe it will be around the JMN session would most likely be around the third week.
Yeah.
So, it is very important at this stage to strategize and use your time most effectively. So, per like, what do you think? Like there are different kinds of students. I think some are quite equipped with how to, like some are quite equipped and confident that they will be able to do well in advanced, and hence they want to
Right.
keep their focus on advanced.
Right.
But there are many people who are quite scared because it's their first time giving JEE mains, and they also want to focus on mains. So I think even when we were at this stage, we had this
Yeah.
query कि mains का पढूं या advanced का पढूं. So what do you think? Like, what should they be doing for the next 7 to 8 weeks?
Yes, so I think जैसा हम पहले भी बात कर रहे थे that we want to keep this session as personalized for you. So it is really important for you to yourself realize the position that you are in right now. Uh, whether you consider yourself an aspirant for JEE Advanced or you at this point you feel your preparation is good for JEE Mains and you like to target JEE Mains first. So for first talking about the candidates who are consider themselves targeting JEE Advanced and they see JEE Mains as just a step towards that process. So I think they should at least till the end of November be focusing on developing the topics which whatever they are studying with respect to advance itself. Whatever they study should be in sufficient depth as would as to ace questions that you would expect in advance. So the conceptual clarity in topics that you study till at least November end, as I mentioned, if you are preparing and if your target is JEE Advanced, should be to grab as much clarity in those topics as possible. Uh, and then starting from December, as we'll be also talking about further, you can for JEE Mains. I mean, there are so many papers available these days. There are around 30 exams, 30 sessions that are conducted every year for the past 2 years. So you just have to practice those PYQs, and then you'll be good to go. Because it is a predictable exam. Advance isn't at all.
Right, right. Like, especially if you are preparing for JEE mains, or like if you are preparing for either mains or advanced, you should be attempting PYQs and
Right.
practicing PYQs because it will boost your confidence as well and provide you a clear landmark key, huh, I'm strong at this topic and I'm weak at this topic. So I think that in the next 8 weeks, it is very important to understand your strengths and weaknesses so
Right.
that if you are clear on your weaknesses and let's say you are saying ki, you find out your calculus is quite weak and obviously calculus has a high weightage in both G mains and
Right.
advanced, so you can focus on that in the next 1 month and a half.
Yes. And for mains aspirants, I mean, you have to understand like where you are lacking at. Are you able to at this point do you want to focus on advanced or not? Because first step is JEE mains, and
Mhm.
obviously acing JEE mains is also has its perks and stuff. You get great colleges from JEE mains as well. And so understanding and setting realistic goals is the objective of the session. And if you are focusing on JEE mains, then the thing is similar. You have to complete your syllabus by November, and we'll be focusing on that later as well.
Right.
And then again, start practicing JEE mains, PYQs
Hmm.
from December starting.
Hmm. So, like for the next 8 weeks, what like an overall strategy people can target key they understand all the topics at least on a certain level.
Right.
Matlab they can skip some very niche topics,
Yes.
like complex numbers. And do you have
Yeah.
any more chapters?
I think that we can move to the syllabus and we'll be
हाँ
able
ठीक है
to.
okay.
Right.
So yeah, we'll move to the syllabus next. We'll just be going over the syllabus a little bit. Um,
Yes. I think we'll just be talking about mostly simple things that we know from our experience and that you will also be able to realize after you've given sufficient PYQs of JEE Advanced. You would have be practicing at least whenever you're done with a chapter, you would have practiced some PYQs of mains or advanced. So you would also be realizing this thing that first of all there's a known fact that you can expect a 60 to 40 ratio of the 12th class topics to 11th class topics in both in mains. So 12th class topics are definitely there are many more questions than 11th class topics,
hmm,
and to some extent I feel they are also in every subject. They are developed in blocks, as in pura calculus is there,
hmm,
which is like you go in a linear fashion. You understand limits, continuity. You go to derivatives. You go to AOD.
hmm.
Then you go to definite integration, uh, and differential equations. And in a linear fashion, you're able to understand all of those topics. तो वो एक चीज रहती है about 12th topics, which makes it a bit easier to go across them in this fashion. So just talking about the
Okay.
syllabus.
But just a second, Jatin is asking ki what about boards?
Yeah.
So, what I feel is ki pre-boards, I think, sorry, pre-boards will be happening in December for most of you guys. And I feel ki if you are in CBSE especially, if you are preparing for JEE Advanced, then the boards won't be a very big problem. Like most people in
Right.
CBSE end up studying like 1 or 2 weeks before and they do score like quite decent. For other
Right.
boards, it might require a bit more of additional preparation, but I feel ki your main focus should be like JEE because you do clear lots of science topics regardless of any board. You end up clearing many of your science topics while preparing for JEE itself. And the other
Right.
topics, if required, you can focus on them at the end a little bit, like based on your board. That will differ from board to board.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, preparing for JEE mains would all, at least in PCM, it would get you to a decent enough level that you get at least 75%, which is the required criterion. And in fact, I'll say कि अगर possible है, talk to your school or authorities and I mean, I think a lot of schools don't make it necessary for you to give pre-boards in December itself if you are preparing for IIT. So अगर वो हो सकता है तो try कर लो. And otherwise, just give some, as Anuj mentioned, 3-4 days to pre-boards preparation. You'll get sufficient time for boards. I mean, in between, after you're done with your JEE Mains first attempt, you can give uh, even if you can give up to 3-4 weeks. So that is not recommended. You just give 2 weeks of preparation. There's enough time within the boards. The timeline itself, there's a lot of gap between exams, which is more than sufficient for a candidate who has done good preparing for JEE Mains.
Correct. And मतलब as I also noticed like this कि during boards the students sometimes get into panic mode कि यार
Yeah.
boards के लिए पढ़ना है तो honestly
Yeah.
yeah it is not it is important to take the board
Yes.
seriously but it is not right to take so much of stress and justify कि मैं JEE के लिए नहीं पढ़ रहा हूँ because I'm studying for boards.
Right. I mean, that doesn't make sense.
That is not how it will work. Like I said, you have about 3.5 months at max. So every day is crucial. You could say it like that. And yeah, we'll get to the strategy further on. So
I mean, right now it's clear, plain facts. Like you just need to get some percentage on the boards, and mostly there's a correlation. If you're doing good in JEE mains and you're preparing consistently for JEE, so you'll be able to do better than students who are just preparing for boards. I mean, बस लिखना ही सीखना at that point of time. It's not big deal. It's something that you've been doing up till your 10th class, and that should be easy enough to scale according to us.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving back to the syllabus. So yeah, Parv, you can continue.
Right. So we just had a brief discussion on 11th and 12th topics. I think 12th topics you can expect at least one question from each of those chapters. So I don't. So talking about relations functions, that should be an easy enough chapter to go about. I mean, you have to spend some time. So in terms of the effort versus results trade-off, I think it will be moderate here. So if you have time, you can definitely focus on strengthening it. Now, talking about complex numbers, it is a topic that people do consider a bit difficult. Even some mains questions, I'll say around 50% mains questions can also be considered to be difficult in this topic. So that is something if you're not getting a good grasp till now, and if you don't have time, you have to finish your syllabus. You have to understand the trade-offs of doing things because by anyhow, we suggest you complete your JEE main syllabus by November end. So it is one topic that you might expect one question on, or even there might not be any question as well from plain complex numbers. So it is something that you can skip. Now the topics that we have here in highlighted in yellow are some topics which are very standalone and they should be easy enough to do. At least the trade-off of the effort versus results should be good here. I mean, if you are done with these topics, then you should be able to do the questions mostly. So matrices and determinants is one such topic that you have to spend some time on, and you get results out of it as well. Then sequence and series is again another standalone topic. Matlab, I think this would be a prerequisite for most topics in maths. Matlab, you'll always be using GP ka formula anywhere.
Right.
In fact, in all subjects. So this is some topic I think this is not to be skipped at any point in maths. And then there are topics in batches, as we were mentioning. ऐसे blocks में है, like you can do permutations, combinations, binomial theorem, and probability, which are also, I think, there are not very tough questions from these chapters, at least in JEE Mains. Mostly, if you go in a line again and you start with binomial theorem and permutation combinations and then probability, you should be able to do a decent enough on this block, and you should expect at least 3 to 4 questions जो इसी block से आ जाएंगे in mains. And when we're talking of questions, we are talking about all the 30 questions. तो उसमें the numericals के optional 5 questions are also included. So this is something that obviously calculus has a very high weightage. You can expect at least 30-40% of paper might also come entirely from calculus.
Right.
So this is something that again, boards में भी इसका, if you talk about boards में, it will have around 50% weightage or something, more than 50. So I don't think it makes sense at any point to skip calculus entirely, at least. And again, it is something that you can go in order and do that. Uh, starts with limits continuity जो 11th में mostly हो जाता है लोगों का. Or if you are being taught calculus in one shot, then you start with limits continuity in 12th itself, then you go to differentiability, AUD, integral calculus, differential equations, which मतलब इसका weightage काफी high है. No, there's no denying this fact. And I think this is again one topic that if you prepare any views, Anuj, I mean, this was what I had to say. Up till now, we'll be coming ahead as well.
लाइक सी स्पेशली जो कैलकुलस है उसका स्ट्रॉन्ग करने के बहुत बेनिफिट्स है क्योंकि एड्स इन योर बोर्ड्स एंड एड्स इन योर फिजिक्स एज वेल. मतलब इसको ऊपर ऊपर से करना डज नॉट मेक अ लॉट ऑफ सेंस. यू आर सैक्रिफाइसिंग ऑन 1.5 सब्जेक्ट्स यू कुड से एट द सेम टाइम. बट आई वुड से कि इफ यू अगर अगर थोड़े प्रॉब्लम्स आ रहे हैं लाइक पर सेड अबाउट पीएनसी एंड बायनोमियल थ्योरम एंड सीक्वेंस सीरीज. आई पर्सनली फेस प्रॉब्लम्स इन सीक्वेंस सीरीज. सो व्हाट आई डिड वाज कि एटलीस्ट जो बेसिक लेवल पे था आई फिनिश द चैप्टर की जो एकदम बेसिक फॉर्मूला है एटलीस्ट दोज आई शुड बी नोइंग. क्योंकि when you are giving exams, the main thing is कि firstly you have to perform the same as the average student and then you have to get over them. So to perform the same as an average student, what you can do is कि the chapters and subjects which are struggling, उनको बस थोड़ा ऊपर ऊपर से एटलीस्ट एकदम बेसिक फॉर्मूला आने चाहिए. बिकॉज जस्ट इन केस द मेंस गाइज डिसाइड टू रिलीज सम वेरी इजी क्वेश्चंस, वो नहीं छूटना चाहिए बिकॉज बाकी सबसे हो रहा है वो जिनको ये चैप्टर आता है.
Correct, I completely agree. And in fact, mains में as we will talk about, you go about practicing PYQs, तो you'll understand patterns कि mains ऐसे ही questions पूछ रहा है.
Yes.
And अगर वो एक दो questions if you've seen already, you will be able to do those questions. तो उसके लिए पूरा chapter करने की भी जरूरत नहीं है.
Right. So, even if you are not very proficient at that chapter, you can score those 3 to 4 marks very easily.
Right.
So yeah, that's what I had to add. So let's move a little bit quickly. हाँ, let's move to coordinate geometry. इसमें बहुत लोगों को problem होती है.
Yeah, again, मतलब this is also a big block, but इसमें again the questions I guess मुझे तो काफी interesting topic लगता था at my point of study, and it should be understanding से भी ये इतना tough नहीं है. I think compared to other topics like sometimes probability or integral calculus. But I'll say इसमें you need time devotion to actually go about, because the syllabus expansion in this is quite high. You have everything, like even the conic sessions you have to do each of the 4 topics ठीक ठाक detail में. Then you have straight lines, which is an expansive topic in itself, and then 3D geometry. So if you have the time only, I think, and if you have done it, then it's best to revise it.
Yes.
ये इसका weightage होगा अच्छा खासा in mains, and you can again expect 3-4 questions in overall from coordinate geometry, conic sections, and 3D. Vector algebra also we are talking about. So these are easy topics to understand, I'll say.
But I think coordinate geometry demands a lot of practice.
Demands a lot of practice and demands a lot of time commitment to itself. Even like syllabus काफी ज़्यादा है इस पूरे section का. So if you have not studied it in relevant detail अभी तक, तो as Anuj mentioned, इसके भी you should know basic formulas again.
Right.
वो तो किसी topic के नहीं छोड़ना है in any case in any subject for JEE Mains.
Right. लाइक कुछ नहीं तो एटलीस्ट रट के चले जाओ लास्ट ईयर. लाइक एकदम टेंजेंट नॉर्मल वो सब के समटाइम्स यू इफ यू आर लकी यू विल गेट वेरी इजी क्वेश्चंस इन योर शिफ्ट रिलेटेड टू दैट टॉपिक.
Right.
एंड दैट शुड नॉट बी द पॉइंट जहाँ पे आप मार खा जाओ. तो एंड आई ऑल्सो हैड टू ऐड कि कोऑर्डिनेट ज्योमेट्री एंड 3D ज्योमेट्री आर एक्चुअली क्वाइट डिफरेंट. 3D ज्योमेट्री इज रिलेटिवली मतलब उसके फॉर्मूलेज इतने मतलब डिपेंडेंट नहीं है एक दूसरे पे. तो
Yeah, मतलब if 3D geometry and vector algebra is something that you have to do for your boards, और वो अलग से भी हो सकता है. मतलब there's no prerequisite I'll say कि coordinate geometry पहले करना है और 3D geometry बाद में हो. I guess straight lines you can, even if you skip the entire conic section thing, you have done straight lines, you can go to 3D geometry, you can do vector algebra.
हाँ exactly. Like मेरा भी conic sections was quite weak, so this is exactly what I did in JEE Mains. मैं थोड़ा general forms देख के चला गया था, tangents and normals वो सबके, and later on I just moved to 3D geometry के formulas because they are much more easier and direct questions आ भी जाते हैं कभी कभी. Like advanced में 3D geometry के questions hard आ सकते हैं, but for mains I mean, if you look at the PYQs, you'll realize कि it is not very hard and very doable.
Yeah, and in fact मतलब you've done vectors
Yeah,
physics में जो बिल्कुल starting में करते हैं
correct,
elementary
correct.
में the concepts are similar, very similar.
Right. Vectors and 3D geometry भी almost साथ में ही हो जाते हैं लोगों का काफी.
Now statistics I think is a very interesting thing for JEE Mains. मतलब इससे for sure एक question तो आएगा ही mostly. You will see in every JEE Mains का PYQ, perhaps two as well. And probability as well. I mean, a standalone, even if you've not done PNC or binomial in that much detail, probability के कुछ questions ऐसे होंगे direct on conditional probability, direct on random variables. So these are easy to do as well. Or again, these are things that you are studying for your boards. So statistics and probability also, I think it's again, मतलब इसका भी payoff is very very good. In fact, one of the best topics in maths.
Yes.
इसमें कर लिया तो बहुत mostly easy question आएगा and everyone will be able to do. So you do not definitely want to lose at questions जो सब लोग कर रहे हैं
Exactly.
और जो नहीं कर रहे हैं. Then it definitely directly affects your percentile.
Right. मतलब like ये भी like free के number है and statistics is still like a new concept I think and नहीं JEE mains में आता था पहले
JEE
से.
mains में it भी
Right, right. JEE
I think
mains
अब advanced में भी
एडवांस में भी अब आता है राइट. तो एडवांस में तो अभी नया नया है बट जेई मेंस में भी लाइक आई थिंक जेई 2022 का अच्छा खासा डिफिकल्टी था फॉर स्टैटिस्टिक्स क्वेश्चन. सो आई रियली प्रैक्टिस दोस क्वेश्चंस एंड 23 में जो आया था आई थिंक आई डिड देम राइट इन बोथ मेंस एंड एडवांस. तो वेरी स्कोरिंग चैप्टर अगेन.
Yeah, it's just calculations जो इसमें थोड़ा time लगेगा इसके questions करने में at some places. But if you know, you'll be able to do it, the question.
एंड पर व्हाट अबाउट ट्रिग्नोमेट्री. मतलब मुझे बहुत इंक्वायरीज आई थी पहले भी कि लोगों को ट्रिग्नोमेट्री में प्रॉब्लम्स हो रही है. तो व्हाट डू यू से?
So I think मतलब ये सब के लिए शायद थोड़ी happy news ही है mostly. मतलब I think a lot of aspirants, I mean मेरे को भी बहुत issues आते थे जब I was doing trigonometry in 11th. Most of the aspirants I think जिनको maths इतना भी ज़्यादा अच्छा नहीं लगता है या they find it tough at some point of time, they would face at least some issues in trigonometry because given the diversity of questions you can make from trigonometry. And I think mains also has a whenever it has asked trigonometry उसके questions बहुत diverse ही रहे हैं. So it is, but the good thing here is that trigonometry does not carry very high weightage in mains. And uske going into its niches and practicing those questions, if you've not, irrespective of whether you've done trigonometry in a good expanse in your 11th, and even if you have not, I don't think बहुत ज़्यादा time investing in trigonometry makes sense at this point of time. जिसने कर लिया है, it is good enough. You already know कि questions कैसे आ रहे हैं. You'll be able to do that. If you're not, it's if there's a low probability of questions for trigonometry actually appearing in the paper itself. And आएगा तो mostly एक ही आना चाहिए, not more than that.
Right. And like and overall just for maths आई हैड अ टिप कि पीपल यूजुअली बहुत ज्यादा फोकस करते हैं मैथ्स पे, सोचते हैं अरे यार मेरा मैथ्स वीक है, हाँ लाइक कैसे होगा क्लियर. बट एट द एंड मैथ्स इज रिलेटिवली हार्डर फॉर एवरीवन.
Right.
लाइक मैथ्स का कट ऑफ इज ऑल्सो लाइक नॉट कट ऑफ बट द एवरेज मार्क्स एंड परसेंटाइल वो सब इज वे डिफरेंट कंपेयर टू केमिस्ट्री एंड फिजिक्स क्योंकि
Yeah.
मैथ्स में सब स्ट्रगल कर रहे हैं. सो इफ यू आर नॉट एक्सेलिंग एट मैथ्स एंड यू आर डूइंग डिसेंट इन फिजिक्स एंड केमिस्ट्री दैट विल इजीली कंपेंसेट फॉर वॉट एवर यू आर लॉस्ट एट मैथ्स.
I mean, yeah, in maths, I mean, in some shifts you score as low as 50 and you get 99.5 percentile or something.
राइट.
और फिजिक्स और केमिस्ट्री में you have to score ऐसे 80 plus 85 plus तब जाके you reach to those levels of 99 plus percentile, 95 plus percentile. मैथ्स में मतलब it is something obvious fact कि सबको उसमें बहुत टाइम इन्वेस्ट करना पड़ता है, सबको उसमें थोड़ी तो डिफिकल्टी आएगी. मेंस में आई गेस मैथ्स is the section where they have some questions जिसमें you actually have to really rack your brains and give time and अच्छे से करना पड़ता है. So it is मतलब but then again I think for advance में we cannot say कि कौन सा subject is the decisive factor, but mains में you can clearly see कि maths ही है जो which is at the end of the day affecting your percentile. Because physics and chemistry to some extent ऐसे questions है that everyone is mostly able to do.
Right.
If you have
कुछ नहीं तो एटलीस्ट ऑप्शन से निकाल सकते हैं फिजिक्स एंड केमिस्ट्री में थोड़ा थोड़ा.
so it is both ways. मतलब अगर for any aspirant पहले like मैथ्स इज द डिसिसिव फैक्टर, तो उसमें भी फोकस तो रखना ही है टू सम एक्सटेंट,
हाँ
यस।
राइट, फोकस रखना, बट एट द सेम टाइम यू शुड नॉट बी वरीड ड्यूरिंग द
हाँ,
पेपर कि मेरा ऐसा हार्ड आया है या इजी आया है एंड आई एम स्ट्रगलिंग, आई एम डूइंग बैड एट मैथ्स।
यस यस।
दैट इज मतलब if your maths is hard, you have to immediately think कि अच्छा हो गया मेरा, I'll do the remaining subjects, I'll do
यस।
what I'm good at in a better way, and वहाँ से I'll just get ahead of others, ऐसा सोच सकते हो during the paper,
या
but you'll get to that going
या
ahead.
वी गो टू पेपर अटेम्प्ट स्ट्रेटजी, बट इट इज गुड अगर मैथ्स डिफिकल्ट आ रहा है, तो इन जनरल इट मेक्स मीन्स कि अगर इफ यू हैव डन गुड इन फिजिक्स केमिस्ट्री एंड देन यू सर्कल बैक टू मैथ्स, उसके क्वेश्चंस को सफिशिएंट टाइम देते हो, उसमें आधे या आधे से थोड़े कम थोड़े ज्यादा क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, दैट इट मींस देन योर पेपर हैज गॉन रियली वेल।
Right. And let's move to physics and chemistry now quickly. बाद में we'll move to some paper strategy as well.
या सो या अगेन आई थिंक ये जो फर्स्ट फोर टॉपिक्स हैं, these are prerequisites for physics. There's no questioning them, and then these are mostly things that you've already done in your high school as well. 9th, 10th में you've covered mostly. Units, dimensions में there might be questions. मतलब
Units and dimensions, मतलब it's just free marks. Like
yeah,
if you do on a basic level also, that is probably free के 3-4
I
marks
mean
in JEE
इसमें
Mains.
it is just basic level होगी, मतलब इसमें you don't have any brain to apply largely.
Right.
तो थोड़ा significant figures कैसे calculate करते हैं, some errors के notions and everything, उसमें if you are clear you have the marks in your pocket. Then kinematics, laws of motion and work energy power, these are applications in the entire syllabus of physics that you know. So this is again basics जो सबको आना ही चाहिए at any point of time, even if इन chapters का अलग से weightage नहीं है, largely in mains or in advanced, but these are something that you cannot skip if you're studying physics.
And for people who will be giving in January, some one issue which they face is कि ये topics हमने बहुत पहले किए थे, 11th के starting में किए थे, so this is a good time to start attempting PYQs and strengthen these topics, and अगर weak है तो identify करके एक अच्छे लेवल तक कर लेना, मे बी नॉट ऑन जेई एडवांस लेवल, बट इट इज वेरी एसेंशियल टू हैव दीज टॉपिक्स, क्योंकि लाइक यू कैन सी काइनेमेटिक्स, लॉज ऑफ मोशन, वर्क एनर्जी, पावर, रोटेशनल, एंड मतलब दिस जस्ट काइंड्स ऑफ कीप्स ट्रांसलेटिंग ऑल थ्रू आउट योर 11th स्टैंडर्ड. तो थोड़ा थोड़ा अगर आ जाता है तो यू विल बी एटलीस्ट बी एबल टू डू द बेसिक क्वेश्चंस. एंड आई थिंक वर्क एनर्जी में तो मतलब एफ इक्वल्स टू डी पी बाई डी टी वही सब मतलब ज्यादातर होता है, एंड पोटेंशियल एनर्जी है, मतलब
collisions and
दिस इज मोर ऑफ हाउ टू सॉल्व क्वेश्चंस, वो ज्यादा कवर होते हैं ये चैप्टर में, एंड इधर तक एकदम बेसिक बेसिक है. तो लाइक बेसिक लेवल पे, लाइक इफ यू डोंट नो, यहाँ पे थोड़ा पढ़, लेट से तुम्हें रोलिंग फ्रिक्शन में डाउट है, फिर रोटेशनल मोशन में डाउट है, दैट इज फाइन, बट बेसिक लेवल पे होना चाहिए. दिस इज वेरी क्रूशियल एंड वेरी स्कोरिंग इफ यू हैव लाइक अ बेसिक नॉलेज. एंड प्रैक्टिस प्रैक्टिस सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट है. तो
yeah.
इवन इफ यू फील कि अगर अभी तक भी अच्छी प्रैक्टिस नहीं की है, यू स्टिल हैव 8 weeks वेर इन यू कैन start focusing on revising some old concepts while finishing your newer concepts.
And trust me, I don't think this would take time. मतलब at one point of time I felt NLM was very difficult when I was studying first. मतलब वो mechanics difficult लगती थी 11, to be honest, very difficult as in. But then after 12th, मतलब I think as you've progressed through the chapters in physics, तो almost हर जगह इसका application आया है. You have indirectly practiced these topics at every point in physics. तो अब when you go back to them, if you haven't already या बीच बीच में भी देखा है, तो you would have realized or you would realize कि इनको अब करना is very easy for you in fact. मतलब वो is relative scale पे अब, क्योंकि perhaps you'll be finding थोड़ा सा if you might be doing optics right now or something, तो वो थोड़ा नया है, it will take some time for you to actually get practice into, but then you'll find these things to be very easy to do at this point then.
Right. And
Now again, yeah, I'll say rotational motion is still something that you can consider. मतलब again इसमें there are two things कि center of mass and rotation motion से just go across the mains का PYQs when you'll be attending papers. अब जैसे ऐसा हो सकता है कि center of mass से they give direct question, जैसे center of mass निकाल लो सब्जेक्ट का. It is something that it might take some time, that question, but वो easily हो जाएगा. And again, you do not want to lose on that question. Basic things of torque balance and angular momentum, वो सब भी mostly हो जाना चाहिए. But there at multiple points mains ने ऐसे questions of difficult conceptual level पूछा है, and if you are not very comfortable at rotational motion अभी तक, do I say कि अगर if you're preparing for advanced, then it is something that you should have conceptual clarity in. Uh, but for mains only, I think if you do not have that level and you then focusing on it alone, and it will take time to get that level of clarity in rotational motion. So it does not make a very good payoff here.
राइट लाइक बहुत ज्यादा एफर्ट्स डाल के बस एक क्वेश्चन हो रहा है एंड दिस इज लाइक द एंड ऑफ न्यूटन्स लॉ ऑफ मोशंस लाइक इवन इफ यू डोंट नो रोटेशनल मोशन इधर तक यू कैन स्कोर लाइक 75% ऑफ द मार्क्स
Yeah.
ये चीज में जो मिल रहा है 75% ऑफ द एनएलएम वाला पार्ट आप अभी भी स्कोर कर सकते हो तो if you are not confident at this might not be the right time to focus on very hard chapters like rotational motion but अगर theory अच्छे से हो गई है then practice might be the way.
Yeah, and मतलब as you mentioned, वो जो first 4 chapters थे physics में, those have applications in every portion of physics. But rotational से you do not expect mostly कि उसका कोई application question बना के they'll put it in other chapters, at least in mains.
Right, right. मतलब mains में it is very unlikely. Advanced में they try to put rotational motion in some more chapters.
Yeah, they
But-
might mix it with electrostatics or something, but
Right, right.
yeah.
So it is essential for those who are like confident of who are confident about rotational motion. They can go for the advanced POAQs at this point, and मतलब not just rotational but दूसरे के भी advanced where they are missing 2 chapters. That can be the next stepping stone for them.
Yeah, and as I said, जो लोग एडवांस के लिए सोच के प्रिपेयर कर रहे हैं, then and as we mentioned, those who are preparing for mains as well, ऐसा नहीं है कि you are not solving questions till November end itself. I mean, at every point of time, we'll come to your daily schedule as well. You are reading things, you are practicing questions, you are studying, you're attending classes, you're making notes, short notes, everything is to be done at every point with consistency. So yeah, that was it.
Okay,
Yes.
so we have a question ki someone just found out about JEE. How can they start their journey? Their boards will be at the starting of the week, like I think like this Monday. Acha, week of May. Okay. So should they wait for dropper batch or should they do something?
If that's very unlikely that you find about JEE
Huh.
But yeah, I'm getting the point of the question. So it really depends on the person of whether they're whether they're thinking of targeting JEE Advanced as well, and or if they just want to focus on JEE Mains.
Hmm.
So I mean, अभी तक वो dropper वाला question so is out of perspective right now. You just have to focus at this point that if you want to get into colleges, then just give an attempt. I mean, जो हम अभी बोल रहे हैं, we are talking about revision at this point of time. You can focus on taking it as doing your topics itself. I mean, जो हमने अभी बोला, like maths में the topics that we had covered, like mostly if you were in CBSE and stuff, so you at least have some basic idea कि वो topics में क्या था. Then you start studying them through at the JEE mains level. I mean, there's a difference, I'll say, at least maths, physics में, and sometimes in chemistry as well, कि CBSE क्या expect कर रहा है, JEE mains क्या expect कर रहा है. So just develop them topics to that level. Focusing on weightages, obviously, her topic I don't think it makes sense to cover now. You can completely skip trigonometry, you can completely skip rotational motion if you want. But I don't think that proper question comes into perspective until you've actually given both the attempts of mains.
Huh, and like even if you start now, you still have the second attempt
Yeah.
of JEE Mains you could focus strongly on. You can, I think, first attempt of January, you can take like a test attempt to see how
Right.
the paper is, how prepared you are by then. But I feel if you focus fully, you can still aim like.
And you'll do wonders. I mean, अगर अच्छे से कर रहे हो,
हाँ.
you'll be able to do great in JEE mains. I mean, this is good enough time for
Right.
mains.
Maybe not JEE Advanced. You could try JEE Advanced, but it is very important to not just think, yeah, I'll just do studies on advanced level and not study on mains level and hope for things to happen. Instead of that, you could focus primarily on JEE Mains, and honestly, you can do quite good on JEE Mains and get quite a good score and probably college as it going ahead.
Yeah, but again, take advice from someone who has your personal context as well, or what you feel about your
Right.
things. I mean, best. I mean, from a general view, I think this is the best thing to do. We think this is the
Yeah,
best thing
like
to
we don't know exactly
Yeah.
what your scenario is yet, so you could share that going ahead, and we'll try to help out with that.
Yeah.
But if you focus very strongly, honestly, you can still cross like 90 percentile, I think, in mains.
Fair
crossing
enough.
90
Yes.
percentile is not very hard. It's all about knowing your strengths and weaknesses and focusing on them during your exam. So we'll get to that going ahead. We are also getting some questions on accuracy and how to reduce negative marks. So, matlab, the short answer will be key practice more, but we'll talk about that going ahead and what we think about negative marks and how we overcame that problem.
Yeah, it's just coming from the practice of JEE Mains
Right,
PYQs.
right.
मतलब,
And the test
Right.
strategies as
Yeah,
well, which
yeah.
we'll be covering ahead.
Yes.
Okay, so let's quickly move to the syllabus again and we'll quickly cover that and then we'll answer some questions about how to give papers in a better way to avoid negative marks.
Right. So yeah, gravitation, as we'll see 12th class के topics as well,
Hmm.
is something that's entirely mapped to electrostatics and
Hmm.
magnetic effects. So again, electrostatics and magnetic effects, it does not make again any sense to skip. There's a calculus clay we talked about for maths. Electrostatics is again very high weightage for your boards, very high weightage in mains as well,
Hmm.
along with magnetic effects, along with current electricity. Of current electricity का entire mapping can be heat transfer in mains. Uh, so again, these topics are to some extent mappable in physics. So ऐसे topics which have essentially some things in analogy that you can apply from one place to the other, it does not make sense to skip according to me. But इधर ये था like mind if you do not have very clear notions of thermodynamics in physics and chemistry as well. There, essentially the idea is the same, but notions different in physics and chemistry. में.
Hmm.
So it might be fine to skip it according to me. I think if you I mean again skip का मतलब यही है कि you
ऊपर ऊपर
don't
से कर लो.
हाँ right.
Like many people do struggle with thermodynamics कि मतलब बहुत difficult लगता है उनको क्योंकि on an advanced level it is a bit
Yeah.
difficult but on a mains level like even if you know many of the basic formulas उससे अच्छे खासे level of basic questions हो जाएंगे तो if you are not confident about topics like rotational thermo again तो उनको ऊपर ऊपर से कर लो and यहाँ पे this is the region of physics where you'll find quite some independent topics
Yes.
जैसे कि properties of solids and liquids है बाद में
Stress
thermodynamics है
strain and everything. Yes.
राइट बाद में वेव्स है काइनेटिक थ्योरी ऑफ गैसेस है तो दीज आर लाइक क्वाइट इंडिपेंडेंट तो इट इज ओके इफ यू डोंट एक्सेल इन ऑल ऑफ दिस इनमें अगर थोड़े थोड़े इफ यू थिंक दीज आर योर वीक चैप्टर्स यू कैन डू इट थोड़ा ऊपर ऊपर से कि बेसिक क्वेश्चंस हो जाए लाइक ऑसिलेशन एंड वेव्स आई थिंक इसमें बहुत सारे बेसिक फॉर्मूले से भी
Right.
अच्छे खासे सॉल्व हो जाते हैं क्वेश्चन
Yeah, mostly about थोड़ा सा अंडरस्टैंडिंग है ज्यादातर रिमेम्बरिंग थिंग्स
हाँ लाइक इधर स्टैंडिंग वेव्स इन स्ट्रिंग्स एंड
Yeah.
ऑर्गन पाइप्स ये तो
If you
बहुत सिंपल
don't,
है
if you know the formula of,
राइट
so you will be able to get it entirely. And ये तो in this entire document मतलब ये scheme follow करा है मैंने कलर का कि these yellow topics are the topics that are standalone and give you a good payoff in just going about them. मतलब ये बहुत ही independent topics है, small topics together, viscosities, Stokes law, I mean entire topic of viscosity, then surface tension, heat transfer, calorimetry, stress strain. These are things as in mechanical properties of matter. These are things you independently if you do not have to invest a lot of time in them and you'll get direct questions in mains. So 1 to 2 questions, perhaps even more, though the likelihood is less. But these are direct questions. If you know the thing, you'll be able to get the question. I think, yeah.
Like, I want to answer this question. He is a student of Nepal and his board results will come after completion of JUSA.
Yeah.
So that is how it worked for us also, right? The board's result usually come after you give your advanced actually.
Right. If I'd like to
It
remember.
it comes after you give your exams anyway. So I think like so technically you won't get into IIT or NIT with this attempt. So I mean, like I said, you should primarily target the second attempt if you think you are not prepared. See, what I feel how you can assess your strengths and weaknesses is key. You can try attempting some PYQs of both mains and advanced level of some chapters and you have to develop that idea ki how thorough are you with the topics and do you like are you on a level to attempt JEE mains properly or JEE advanced properly? But I think if you like you said, you found out about JEE recently. and you still wish to do good at it, then JEE Mains might be the way to go for it. So you can,
Yeah.
if you have studied well till now, you can try attempting JEE Mains PYQs very thoroughly. Especially after 2015, 2016, you can take the questions for practice and then take your call. Ki, okay, I'm doing decent and I can do some more chapters. So it is important to focus on areas which you are comfortable in initially. So that's how you'll get to a base mark of like 60, 70 percentile. And going ahead, you could focus on some more topics. And honestly, like if you target the second attempt, you will have like 6 to 7 months till. And if you focus properly, 6 to 7 months is a lot of time to do lots of practice and cover different topics as well.
Yeah, I mean, JEE mains के PYQs, there's no limit at all. मतलब हर year 30 papers हो रहे हैं. Even if you, like, we'll be suggesting it going forward for your PYQs attempt for JEE mains, we just suggest that you do the past 2 years papers, 25, 24.
Right.
You have 60 papers in all. You do it in a random fashion, attempt all questions after. There's not much variation anyways. Starting from, I think, 2019 onwards, the mains patterns have remained very consistent. I mean, the questions are very predictable and related to what appears in each paper.
Hmm. And we have some more simple questions you can take
Yeah.
on. Like Shivam is asking ki, can I complete my 11th portion with the help of one shot from YT? So like we said ki, if you are not, like see, first you need to attempt some PYQs and identify ki, what topics of 11th standard are you struggling with? Like ऐसा नहीं होता है कि you just don't know anything. If you have not attended any single class, even in that case, you can, matlab, you should definitely go for one shots in that case, I think. Ki you can get an overview very quickly and then you can try attempting some mains ki basic questions.
Yeah.
Ki you have to get all chapter on a main sir. Like I'll tell you my story ki the heat and radiation वाला जो chapter था, I had not, like जो physics में आता है, the black body radiation and all that, I had not done that up till like JEE mains के like 1 2 weeks before, and I just sat for a one shot and तभी I मतलब वो वन शॉट करके I got quite some decent level of clarity कि basic level पे उसमें क्या क्या formulas है, and after that I moved to PYQs and I realized कि the chapter is very easy. तो it is essential to identify कि कौन से chapters easy है, which chapters are you struggling with, वो identify करना बहुत जरूरी है.
Right, मतलब if you are struggling with an easy chapter, तो सबसे पहले उसे correct कर लो. And I'll say, yeah, one shot can help you with a decent level preparation for mains. I mean, that's fine.
And Raman is asking in the chat ki which reference books we used. So see, like there is not a universal answer to what reference books work for everyone. Like different things work for per, different things work for when, different things work for different people, basically.
Yes.
So I did not follow Cengage. Like I followed my coaching packages and that really worked fine for me. But more than that, like I said, ki reference books are fine. But at this stage, it is very important that you start focusing on PYQs. क्योंकि if you do reference books but don't do PYQs, it is not worth it.
Definitely not worth it.
Like reference books are fine, but उसके साथ like you need to stay on par with the PYQs as well. So like if you
I
want
mean, the context should match. Like you're preparing for mains and lot of context के mains में कैसे questions आ रहे हैं, you definitely go about practicing them. I think this is not a, I mean, till November, and I think you can still focus if you want for conceptual clarity for on reference books. If you are like we are answering from the perspective that you're only preparing for mains, so to some conceptual clarity, to going about those solved questions in these reference books can help you. So again, मैं like on a personal level as Anuj, I think in maths I was just following the content given by my coaching, and apart from that I was following the Black Book by Vikas Gupta to some extent. I mean, I didn't never completed the book. Whenever I think I had some time, I did some questions from there. In physics again, I was following uh, uh, H.C. Verma. But again, बहुत limited. Whenever I had the time, I went to some of its solved questions or some questions and I did that. But ऐसा कुछ भी, I had no plans in mind to complete those books. That was never a target. The target was to do good in JEE Mains and Advanced.
Right.
मतलब completing a reference book is never a target.
Right. You need to understand कि marks. See, you need to maximize your marks. That is the end goal. बाद में that does not mean कि तुम्हें पूरा chapter करना है. Like you can just select questions and all. So, right, and if you want like some specific reference books for some chapters or subjects, then you can join the WhatsApp community, and there are like a bunch of other IITians as well. So you can get a mixed opinion ki what worked out for them, and they can recommend you books ki what you can try out. But at the end, you need to find out ki what is working for you.
Yeah.
PYQs to करनी है, but PYQs must not be skipped at all.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, it makes sense. I think I heard this multiple times when I was studying for JEE and before that as well. That if you have a good enough source that is provided by your coaching, then you go
Hmm.
about attempting those questions, and then it makes more sense. And we'll also talked about in when you'll be giving tests and then analyzing them. That
Right.
the same goes here when you're practicing as well. मतलब जब जो mistakes हो गई हैं, those mark those questions, get back to them, solve them again.
Hmm.
That is much more important than trying out everything in the world that is there
करेक्ट
to do.
करेक्ट लाइक जो गलत कर रहे हो पहले उस पे तो वर्क करो देन यू
Yeah,
कैन जस्ट मूव टू एक्सप्लोरिंग न्यू थिंग्स तो उस पे लेट्स रैप अप द सिलेबस क्विकली नाउ सो दैट वी
yeah.
कैन मूव टू द स्ट्रेटजी तो ये हमने कवर कर दिया है ओके लेट्स मूव टू द 12th के टॉपिक्स नाउ
Yes, as I was saying, electrostatics, current electricity, magnetic effects. At least these three chapters are things that I think these are you have done these topics to some extent until for your 10th as well. So you should be having some basic level of clarity जो अगर नहीं भी पढ़ा रहे 10th में इतना ज़्यादा अच्छे से तो आ जाएगा because these are not very difficult, conceptually difficult things to understand. Or these are like exact maps of like in fact in our coaching we were taught electrostatics first and then we were taught gravitation. We were taught current electricity first and then we were taught heat transfer. I think that might be the case with a lot of you as well. So because these topics are exact mappings of each other, analogous है बिल्कुल. So this is something. In fact, I'll say अभी तक mostly people would have covered. And in any case, I don't think it makes sense for you to skip क्योंकि
Right.
इसमें it's a moderate payoff and these are applications in other chapters मतलब electromagnetic induction and waves. You cannot do this without doing current electricity and magnetic effects and stuff. वो basic understanding इधर से ही आएगा. So it has a moderate payoff ratio. There are not very difficult questions from these chapters in mains at least. And advanced maybe I don't think that
राइट लाइक मेंस टू एडवांस में इतना ज्यादा जंप नहीं
नहीं
है
है.
जैसे कि रोटेशनल मोशन या थर्मोडायनामिक्स में आता है
हम्म.
इसमें लाइक स्पेशली फॉर द पीपल प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर जेई एडवांस दिस इज द स्कोरिंग पार्ट जहाँ पे मेंस और एडवांस दोनों में नंबर ला सकते हैं तो
Yeah.
इट डज नॉट मेक सेंस टू लाइक स्किप दीज टॉपिक्स एंटायरली लाइक ठीक है चलो इफ यू आर स्ट्रगलिंग लाइक एंडिंग में थोड़े थोड़े ऐसे ईएमआई आता है इवन दैट इज क्वाइट स्कोरिंग बट इलेक्ट्रोमैग्नेटिक वेव्स आई थिंक इज अ बिट इंडिपेंडेंट कंपेयर टू द रेस्ट
Yeah,
ऑफ द
yeah.
इलेक्ट्रो
I mean, it has a lot of things that you just have to remember.
हाँ एग्जैक्टली तो if you like if you're good at remembering तो फिर this is your region but if you're like me and you're not very good at
Yeah.
remembering things तो up till here भी अगर understanding के साथ किया है then this is just free के marks like and if your physics is strong my physics was strong what subject was yours strong
Like I have always liked chemistry to say वही
okay,
थोड़ा
that is good. Like,
Yeah.
so we'll be able to give a diverse set
Yeah,
of
yeah.
opinions. So my physics was strong, and especially this section of the physics was very strong. So in this section,
Mhm.
I got a lot of confidence. Like when I attempted this in mains, I was like, okay, I'm doing good in the paper, and I got a good boost throughout the paper.
Yeah, these topics can be very stronghold for developing confidence. Most candidates इनको करके मतलब already हो रहा है तो confidence आ रहा है और mostly these are good topics. I mean these are topics when you starting your 12th मतलब वो
Right.
energy से पढ़ते हो.
Energy.
Everyone has an enthusiasm at that point तो ये अच्छे से आता है mostly लोगों को.
Right. Then moving on to the optics wala part.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So yes, I think again optics is again something that you did in your in till your 12th till your 10th.
हाँ 19th में आता था.
हाँ तो to some extent prism वगैरह भी थोड़ा थोड़ा कर लिया था तब भी. So basic तो again I think this should be a good enough topic to again at least do from the mains level. अभी तक we are not talking about wave optics. We are only talking about uh, the 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 light optics, the basic 10th वाली optics that you had studied, reflection refraction वाला part. तो दिस शुड बी गुड इनफ मतलब अगर 10th का याद है अभी थोड़ा थोड़ा पढ़ लिया तो दीज आर गुड टॉपिक्स टू डू इफ यू हैव द टाइम गिवन द कंस्ट्रेंट्स की बाकी वो मेजर मेजर चंक्स यू हैव कवर्ड क्योंकि स्टैंड अलोन जस्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट द ऑप्टिक्स अपार्ट फ्रॉम वेव ऑप्टिक्स बहुत ज्यादा वेटेज नहीं होगा इसका.
एंड इसमें यंग्स मॉड्यूलस यंग्स डबल स्लिट एक्सपेरिमेंट भी आता है विच इज लाइक
इन
उससे
वेव ऑप्टिक्स,
हाँ इट इज वेरी स्कोरिंग एंड इस पे बहुत पीवाईक्यूज भी अवेलेबल है
राइट.
एंड ऑन अ मेंस लेवल इससे बहुत हार्ड क्वेश्चंस भी नहीं आते
I
लाइक
mean,
इट्स जस्ट बेसिक आइडियाज.
for the entirety of 12th syllabus, I think physics is much more easier in 12th than it was in 11th. वो
हाँ
mechanics understand
yes
करना and stuff. Because it's a lot, मतलब if you are that sort of person जो थोड़ा mechanical है इन चीजें की question को एक ही type से solve करना है, तो that is much more easier in your 12th class physics. थोड़ी basic चीजें याद है, थोड़ा सा you there are slight changes in questions, you have to apply some little amount of your intelligence, उससे question हो जाता है and you get very good confidence out of it.
राइट एंड मतलब क्वेश्चंस में बहुत ज्यादा वैरायटी है ही नहीं एट अ पॉइंट पूरा लिमिटेड ही है कि मेंस लेवल पे क्या ही पूछेंगे वैसा हो जाता है तो लाइक पीवाईक्यूज आर क्वाइट कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव फॉर दीज टॉपिक्स स्पेशली टॉपिक्स जिसमें मतलब डेटा बेस्ड है कि आई थिंक ड्यूल नेचर में भी pretty much वैसा ही रहता है
Yeah, modern physics तो मतलब
हाँ
as a highlight भी करा है, very scoring topic,
yes
very मतलब does not take time to study, very good payoff.
hmm okay so moving on to some final topics of physics तो
Yeah.
इसमें what do you say पर
Yeah, so again, ये semiconductors वाला chapter, I think it can take some amount of concept to understand this. थोड़ा थोड़ा if you get the understanding, but again boards के लिए भी I think इसके लिए तो physics NCERT is a good source.
हाँ.
I think for 12 physics NCERT is a good source in itself to study and to understand things. मतलब I think for 12 physics at least अगर मेंस के लिए प्रिपेयर करते हो तो at least एक दो बार you should read 12 की NCERT, both the parts. And for at least for semiconductor devices, so purely NCERT thing. Just the gates part is something that you have to do separately, thoda from your coaching material and other stuff. But again, good, not much. I'll say for entire physics, you don't have to put in a very huge amount of effort to any given topic. जैसे rotational में करना पड़ रहा था. If you give sufficient enough effort, you get sufficient good payoff.
right
And these are experiments जो पूरे syllabus में वैसे ही cover हो जाते हैं.
हाँ right and like if you don't do this honestly like एक दो
Yeah.
question ही आता है I feel is
मतलब I don't think anyone does this ऐसे अलग से,
हाँ.
मतलब because you मतलब all these coaching classes and people they just add those questions in the
Right.
in the topic itself.
right right
और वहाँ पे हो ही जाता है, as in this half reflection method. And if you were attending मतलब ऐसे अगर if you are in CBSE boards तो ये पूरा का पूरा at least for 12th तो ये तो सिर्फ 12th के practical का syllabus है, so you have actually done the experiments mostly in your practicals. अगर करा भी नहीं है तो एटलीस्ट देखा तो होगा और you would go do it for your practicals, तो mostly you would be able to like do it. It's a cakewalk.
okay so let's just move quickly to chemistry and but you can take the chemistry part honestly and we'll just we'll just have a quick overview and then we'll move to the strategy. I think people
Okay.
are waiting for that's time.
Yeah, I think this is something mostly a lot of people would tell you as well. So these are again some prerequisites. So these are easy topics to do in chemistry. ये तो करना ही है मतलब basically basic concepts, dynamic structure, chemical bonding, MOT वगैरह ये मतलब ठीक है. थोड़ा 11th में I think you pay a lot of attention to that, but when you will go back now तो I don't think इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा time लगेगा. There's some things that you have to remember. I think chemistry में पूरे time यही है and I think perhaps I had this skill कि मुझे चीज़ें याद रखना and making those short notes will come to that as well. Making those short notes, going over them and then revising it. I think वो हो जाता था and it will be done by most people. Given Indian education system सब याद रखते हैं at any point of time, so it is easy at this point. ये है as I mentioned for thermodynamics and physics as well. Thermodynamics and ionic equilibrium, chemical equilibrium, I think these are topics जिनमें sufficient level of conceptual clarity you require. और ये एक बार में समझ आए, it's not very easy to I think to have that assumption कि एक बार में समझ में आ रही है. मुझे बहुत डिफिकल्टी आती थी इन अंडरस्टैंडिंग इक्विलिब्रियम एंड केमिकल थर्मोडायनामिक्स.
Right. Like equilibrium, I think has been a struggle since a
या
decade now.
स्पेशली हाइनिक इक्विलिब्रियम.
हाँ, आयनिक
या
इक्विलिब्रियम में सबको प्रॉब्लम्स होती है, तो इफ यू आर नॉट वेरी गुड एट दैट, डोंट वरी एट ऑल.
या
मेनी ऑफ द पीपल, मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल आर नॉट गुड एट इट. तो अपन, इफ यू डोंट डू दैट, इंस्टेड ऑफ दैट कोई दूसरे क्वेश्चन पे फोकस करो विच यू आर गुड एट है.
या
दैट इज अ गुड.
मतलब आई थिंक जो नेक्स्ट अभी हम आएंगे ऑर्गेनिक केमिस्ट्री, इन ऑर्गेनिक केमिस्ट्री उसमें सफिशिएंटली हाई वेटेज रहता है.
राइट, राइट.
Or if you take out time from here and invest there, it will give you better payoff because mains में chemistry में इतना वैसे भी इतना vast syllabus है that any topic I'll say उसमें मैं एक question ज़रा बोल ही नहीं सकता कि आ सकता है. So
Exactly.
तो yeah, so it I mean if you are not very good at it, again skip as in basic चीजें पढ़ लो. Like basic delta G का formula,
हाँ,
basic delta G equals to delta H minus T delta S, that sort of stuff. वो कर लो. अगर मेंस में डायरेक्ट कोई क्वेश्चन पूछ ले, you are very lucky.
And solutions is like a quite an easy chapter.
Quite an easy topic.
Like ये colligative properties, ये सब तो मतलब फ्री के नंबर है.
Free
Like
के number है,
theoretical
literally.
questions आ गए तो मतलब you
और
should not.
न्यूमेरिकल भी आ गए. न्यूमेरिकल भी very direct questions.
Oh, and just an overall tip for chemistry कि chemistry में NCERT is the top thing you have to do. NCERT is the Bible. NCERT छोड़ना नहीं है at any point.
मतलब गीता whatever you want.
Exactly. Like वो
हाँ.
पूरा पढ़ के रखना है NCERT. Like उधर से questions आने ही वाले हैं, and it has been observed throughout the year, but still लोग NCERT पढ़ते नहीं हैं and
हाँ.
expect करते हैं कि marks आ जाएंगे.
Especially and in fact मतलब लोग inorganic ले तो है ही ये. You study NCERT 5-10 times to basically पढ़ना ही पड़ेगा. Because inorganic में every line of NCERT you can have a question. Every damn line of chemistry. That's almost written there. So वो तो study inorganic like anything from NCERT.
हाँ.
But for other chapters as well, as I mentioned for 12th physics, वो सब यहाँ पर इनफैक्ट ज्यादा अप्लाई होता है टू एनी पोर्शन गिवन इवन इफ फिजिकल केमिस्ट्री. एनसीईआरटी हैज टू बी स्टडीड एंड मल्टीपल टाइम्स. आई मीन एटलीस्ट 2-3 बार तो चैप्टर्स पढ़ ही लो एट द बेयर मिनिमम, इवन ऑफ फिजिकल केमिस्ट्री. मतलब आई डोंट थिंक इट टेक्स अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम. और इट इज मतलब हम बोलेंगे कि you do practice, you do attend classes, you also read, because when you're reading things here you can have long questions in the exam itself और वहाँ पे your reading matters. तो इसलिए it also makes sense just not to study, just not from a study perspective, from also a strategy perspective कि you are reading at multiple points. And chemistry is the best thing. मतलब वो वैसे भी read करनी है. You read those texts multiple times. You get a good practice of reading as well.
Right.
Yeah, and then yeah, I believe them that we already talked about redox reactions in electrochemistry. I think because electrochemistry is something that you would be focusing on for your boards as well. So I think मतलब it can be difficult. I think again एक बार में understand करना, but still as in अगर rate करें तो electrochemistry and redox is still much easier than
हाँ.
thermodynamics and ionic equilibrium.
Right, right. So if you
So,
get the time तो पहले इधर डालो and then you can move to the harder topics
Yes.
later on.
अब
And chemical kinetics I think is very
is
scoring,
easy.
right?
Yeah, it's scoring. Yes.
हाँ, तो chemical kinetics तो मतलब फर्स्ट ऑर्डर, जीरोथ ऑर्डर आर लाइक वो तो एकदम करनी है क्वेश्चन, वो तो छोड़ने ही नहीं है क्वेश्चंस. वो लेवल का रेडी होके जाना है ऐसे टॉपिक्स के लिए.
I think in organic तो we already talked about NCERT is the thing. NCERT को multiple times पढ़ना है.
हाँ,
15-20
right,
times. In
like-
fact, it is a decent number. I'll still say.
हाँ,
उससे भी
उसके
ज्यादा but-
जितने क्वेश्चंस
हाँ.
अटेम्प्ट करते हो उतना अच्छा. एंड इफ यू गाइस वांट रिसोर्सेज रिलेटेड टू इनऑर्गेनिक केमिस्ट्री, यू कैन आस्क दैट ऑन द व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप. विल प्रोवाइड यू विद इन लाइक 1 or 2 days.
Yeah.
एंड या बेसिकली जितना पढ़ सकते हो पढ़ना है, जितने क्वेश्चंस अटेम्प्ट कर सकते हो करना है. दैट इज द गोल फॉर
Inorganic.
इनऑर्गेनिक.
Yes, I mean सिर्फ read करने से भी you wouldn't get the thing. इसमें it is much more important कि you read, you mark things in the book itself, you make short notes for remembering, you attempt questions, उससे reflect हो रहा है कि कितना याद हुआ है in the first place. Then you go again. This is an iterative process entirely. You have to do it for inorganic chemistry.
Right. And getting to
Some
organic
मतलब
chemistry.
you will get some मतलब पूरा inorganic chemistry is mostly something that you remember. Coordination compounds में you will have मतलब वो chemical bonds वाला part आ जाएगा थोड़ा, and some part of अंडरस्टैंडिंग इन कोऑर्डिनेशन कंपाउंड्स. बट या आई डोंट थिंक बहुत डिफिकल्ट है गिवन हमने पहले से डिफिकल्ट चैप्टर्स आइडेंटिफाई कर लिए इन केमिस्ट्री.
हाँ ठीक है. सो हाउ शुड दे प्रिपेयर फॉर ऑर्गेनिक केमिस्ट्री? ये किसी का आई थिंक क्वेश्चन भी है कि हाउ टू कवर द एंटायर सिलेबस फॉर ऑर्गेनिक केमिस्ट्री. व्हाट डू यू से पर
Okay. So
on a mains
yeah,
level?
on the mains level, I'll still say मतलब थोड़ा सा it can be difficult to just like in organic chemistry something that you can just go from over the NCERT और हो जाएगा. But organically it still makes sense if you do some sort of classes, you get
कुछ
understanding from
रेफरेंस बुक करना चाहिए.
reference book भी मतलब ये reference book of classes or understanding good in classes itself. That makes sense. And then uh, I mean हाँ expands as I've already given कि chemistry में ज़्यादा है topics का. But like again once you get a basic understanding उसके बाद NCERT पढ़ना. And उसके बाद at all points of time doing questions would give you sufficient leverage to.
And I feel कि मतलब there is no need to rush behind doing the entire syllabus. Like even if you are not completing the entire organic chemistry syllabus, but बचा हुआ like inorganic is strong, then it's not a very big problem. Like if you do like even
Should not
half,
be, yeah.
हाँ पूरा organic है जो अभी if you do half of organic on a good level, it will put you at a very good stage. क्योंकि at the end you don't have to score full in JEE Mains. You just have to score very good. And वो अच्छे खासे वो that can happen without completing the entire syllabus like you are trying to emphasize.
Yeah, मतलब ठीक है मुझे I was a person who liked chemistry and
right.
like मुझे it made sense for me to do chemistry very thoroughly कि उसमें I get a very good percentile. क्योंकि बाकी चीजों में आई हैड ऑलवेज दिस फीलिंग कि मैथ्स में शायद मेरा परसेंटेज इतना अच्छा नहीं आ सकता या फिजिक्स में भी एक दो क्वेश्चंस शायद रोटेशनल के ऐसे आगे विच आई विल नॉट बी एबल टू डू या कोई और टॉपिक्स के भी आगे. देयर वाज समथिंग दैट आई फेल्ट वाज डाइसी अबाउट फिजिक्स एंड देयर इज ऑलवेज द थिंग दैट मैथ्स इज टफ. तो इसलिए आई से कि अगर टाइम है तो स्टिल गो ओवर द एंटायर सिलेबस ऑफ केमिस्ट्री. वो फिजिकल छोड़ के तो टॉपिक्स दैट वी हैव आइडेंटिफाइड इट इज ऑर्गेनिक इनऑर्गेनिक. क्योंकि अगर इसमें ठीक ठाक टाइम दे यू विल गेट गुड इनफ पे ऑफ बिकॉज एक बार यू गेट बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ ऑर्गेनिक केमिस्ट्री हाउ एसेंशियली बेसिक क्या चल रहा है उसमें then it's just reactions and different reactions and different topics which is also somewhat similar कि एक टाइप ऑफ रिएक्शंस तो सेम ही है सब्स्टिट्यूशन है या व्हाट द थिंग इज. एंड फिर बेसिकली जस्ट इवन गोइंग ओवर एनसीईआरटी उसके रिएक्शंस देख लिया क्वेश्चंस प्रैक्टिस कर लिए यू आर गुड इनफ टू गो.
And some people are asking ki, is there sufficient time to revise class 11th? I would say ki, yeah, like
right now yes.
Right now yes, that is the correct answer. Right now you have the time to focus. Like अच्छा खासा time है, you can revise lots of things by even the first attempt and बाद में second attempt तक तो बहुत thorough level पे तुम लोग का 11th भी revise हो सकता है and 12th का भी साथ में हो सकता है. But it is time to put in the hours and lock in. क्योंकि अभी अगर अभी नहीं किया then at a point if you ask this question to us after like 1.5 months, then है क्या? Okay, चल let's get back.
Right. Yeah, sorry guys. Yeah, we were back. I was just saying कि basic अगर if you've done organic chemistry till ये alcohols, phenols and carbonyl compounds, aldehyde ketones, तो बाकी केमिस्ट्री वेरी मतलब कोई भी इसको टाइम स्पेंड नहीं करता एक एक दिन में. इवन टीचर्स टीच यू पूरा नाइट्रोजन वाली रिएक्शन एक के बाद एक रिएक्शन लिख देते हैं. बायोमोलिक्यूल्स इज समथिंग डिफरेंट. बायोमोलिक्यूल्स एंड इन्वायरमेंटल केमिस्ट्री जो दैट वाज अ थिंग इन 11th entirely वो ऑर्गेनिक केमिस्ट्री ऐसा पार्ट है कि that is again like inorganic जो थोड़ा याद रखना होता है. बायोमोलिक्यूल्स में again there are different set of reactions. बायोमोलिक्यूल्स में if you want to understand carbohydrates proteins थोड़ा टाइम देना पड़ेगा. So but then again it's not a very high weightage thing. तो अगर if you don't have the time so perhaps not focus on it, but I'll say for almost every topic in an organic and organic chemistry अगर ठीक ठाक टाइम दे दिया then you are getting marks. मतलब इसमें ऐसे कोई देयर इज नॉट मच रैंडमनेस अबाउट कि अगर पढ़ लिया है और तो भी मार्क्स नहीं आ रहे तो ऐसा देयर इज अ लिटिल चांस ऑफ दैट हैपनिंग. But yes, मतलब biomolecules में थोड़ी सी I'll say to some extent is understanding, some extent is memorizing things. And then this is again inorganic में mostly आ जाता है ये. And these testing also people teach in when you are being taught organic chemistry itself. So mostly things, and mostly these are again things जो 11th 12th class के practicals में आ रहे हैं for boards. So you will have some idea. तो इतना बहुत ज़्यादा difficult नहीं है. Low probability of direct questions coming from here directly, given the expanse of chemistry.
हाँ, right. So ठीक है, we have covered the syllabus now. So let me just check the internet connection once, and then we'll move to how to not score negative marks and how to give how to do revision, right? So hi Lakshay, I think you were there last time as well. So ठीक है, so let's move to that now. I'll just hide the screen. हाँ, wait. Oops.
Yeah, I mean,
So ठीक है. So getting to things like how to do revision and how to give papers in the most efficient manner. So okay. So but do you want to start on that? Someone like Lakshay is asking ki how to do revision, how to do effective revision. That is the basic question.
cool. So yeah, I think the answer would differ for different subjects. So
Hmm.
if you want to ask it particularly for any subject, then वो बता दो. But I'll say revision के लिए it makes sense to go over your notes, go over whatever reference book or module or NCERT you will covering. I don't think ये reference book वाला पूरा segment maths के लिए, as I was mentioning, will differ across subjects. So your reference books and going over books makes sense for maths. Maths के लिए your notes are sufficient enough if you have good enough detailed notes. Uh, so just going over them. For chemistry it will make sense. मतलब I'll say वो तो है ही कि पूरे टाइम बुक पढ़ते रहनी है. NCERT and stuff. Physics में भी 12th NCERT at I mean एक दो बार पढ़ लो, that's more than sufficient. Otherwise your notes in all the three subjects, that is entirely applicable. And then as in when you read every time I'll say any book or notes, तो short notes बनाने, and don't make them as a fixed सा short notes. These are
Right.
very personalized to you at multiple points of time. तुम्हें शायद एक चीज याद नहीं आ रही होगी और एक चीज याद है, तो keep them editable, keep adding things. As in I mean for me, तो मैं जब टेस्ट का भी एनालिसिस करता था, and I found a new question or found some topic that I had forgotten the formula of or something, जो कुछ चीजें ऐसी भी होती है that these are a new type of question जिसमें एक कोई I mean कोई एक नीच चीज अगर पता है कि एक पैटर्न ऑब्जर्व हो रहा है, तो you can even note that pattern and keep it in your short notes.
कि लाइक ये क्वेश्चन हर बार इससे सिमिलर आ रहा है,
Yes.
लाइक ये टॉपिक से ही आ रहा है, तो यू कैन कीप अ ट्रैक ऑफ दैट फॉर योरसेल्फ.
तो वो एक बेसिक फॉर्मूला एडिशनल फॉर्मूला याद हो गया, जो शायद यू विल नॉट परहैप्स द टीचर वुड हैव सेड कि इसको याद करने की जरूरत नहीं, बट यू आर अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि इससे याद करने से ये क्वेश्चंस डायरेक्ट हो रहे हैं. So
Right.
you will keep it there in your short notes. So short notes maintaining during revision is very important. And then practicing is also revision. I mean, questions attempt करना पूरे time. Is like whenever you're done revising, you go about doing questions as well. And इसका पूरा एक like ऐसे daily schedule बनाना, like एक overall surface पे भी make a schedule कि कैसे तुम लोग के सारे topics cover हो रहे हैं. On a broad level ki this week or this month I'll be doing all sort of these things. Perhaps your coaching would help you with that. But on a personal level also, I think मतलब personally खुद के हिसाब से again understanding your strengths and weaknesses is the first part of the discussion itself. उसके हिसाब से chalking out कि कब मैं कौन से topics कर रहा हूँ on a broad level, and then on a daily schedule जो मैं बहुत टाइम से बात करना चाह रहा था, like every day before sleeping I'll say make your entire schedule. I mean मुझे ऐसा लगता था कि ऐसे 50 minutes के slots I would make during the day, given that I'm not attempting any paper or not the time apart from classes जो मेरा self study time है. पर 1 hour का मुझे हमेशा लगता था that 10 minutes it all anyways goes into waste. So 50 minutes का रखना है, you're able to generate 50 minutes at the end of it at the five when you're done with 5 slots. तो but then उसमें पूरा mix करना कि उस 50 minutes में like 50 minutes I'm टू द डिटेल, यू मेक द शेड्यूल टू द डिटेल। ये 50 मिनट्स में मैं फिजिक्स से केटीजी पढ़ रहा हूँ,
राइट।
नोट्स पढ़ रहा हूँ, ये थोड़े क्वेश्चंस कर रहा हूँ। 10-50 मिनट्स आई एम रीडिंग एनसीईआरटी एंड ऑर्गेनिक। देन 50 मिनट्स में मैथ्स के प्रैक्टिस कर रहा हूँ। एंड प्रैक्टिस भी टाइम्ड करो, आई से। आई मीन नाउ मूविंग ऑनवर्ड्स, अभी तक जैसी भी प्रैक्टिस दैट इज फाइन, बट नाउ डूइंग प्रैक्टिस इन अ टाइम्ड मैनर मेक्स सेंस। At least mains के questions or any PYQ that you're doing it at time manner. Uh, Even for advanced if you're practicing जो भी कर रहे हो, taking a timer, questions mark कर देना कि मुझे ये questions करने हैं। If the questions are spread across multiple books, मतलब मैं कई बार there'll be things that you'll select some questions to do from HCV. अब हाँ, obviously select ऐसे करना है कि just ऊपर से लिखा हुआ question, don't obviously read the question then and there itself. ऊपर से मार्क कर दिया थोड़ा थोड़ा, ये पेज सिलेक्ट कर दिया कि आई एम गोइंग टू डू दिस पेज ऑफ द क्वेश्चंस, वो मार्क कर करके रख लेना। एंड देन टाइम फिक्स कर लेना कि मैं अगले नेक्स्ट 2 आवर्स या 1 आवर ये टाइम प्रैक्टिस कर रहा हूँ। सो दो मेकिंग दैट एंटायर डेली शेड्यूल, आई थिंक दैट इज समथिंग दैट आई perhaps started doing in my 12th year, उसके थोड़ा पहले से या बाद से, and that really helped me, to be honest. Yes, that really helped me.
ओके, तो वी आर गेटिंग सम क्वेश्चंस नाउ कि मॉक्स वीकली देना चाहिए क्या कंपलसरी?
Yeah.
तो for that we would say, like Ayan पर talked about this before, and
Yes.
we reached to the conclusion कि when December starts, you should be at a position where you start attempting at least 3 papers per week. And
Yeah.
and how you need to do it is कि मतलब you need to be equipped पहले तो नवंबर एंड तक you have to be kind of ready कि ठीक है अब मैं पेपर देने के लिए रेडी हो जाऊंगा। एंड दिसंबर में what you are supposed to do is कि you have to keep your syllabus and your papers going on at the same time. एंड पेपर्स ऐसे नहीं कि बस कैजुअली दे रहा है एंड छोड़ रहा है। द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग व्हेन यू गिव अ क्वेश्चन, व्हेन यू अटेम्प्ट अ प्रीवियस ईयर पेपर ऑफ लेट्स से इवन जेईई मेंस, इसकी तुम उसका एनालिसिस करो एंड तुम उधर से अपनी स्ट्रेंथ्स वीकनेसेस फाइंड आउट करो।
Yes.
So that will take some time, but honestly that is the best thing you can do in December January कि तुम्हें अपने PYQs पे अच्छे मतलब प्रीवियस ईयर पेपर्स पे भी अच्छे से फोकस करना है। एंड या मतलब इनिशियली लोगों को ये भी नहीं पता, लाइक पीपल आर कंफ्यूज कि पहले फिजिक्स दो, केमिस्ट्री दो, मैथ्स दो। इवन आई वाज कंफ्यूज्ड एंड यू नीड टू फाइंड दैट आउट फॉर योरसेल्फ कि व्हाट इज वर्किंग फॉर यू। एंड जितने ज्यादा पेपर्स देते हो दिसंबर ऑनवर्ड्स, इट विल हेल्प यू आउट अ लॉट। क्योंकि अगर तुमने पेपर नहीं किए तो होता क्या है कि लोग डायरेक्टली जेईई मेंस देने जाते हैं एंड देन दे गेट नर्वस, दे आर नॉट यूज्ड टू द एनवायरनमेंट और उतना फास्ट क्वेश्चंस करने के लिए यूज्ड टू नहीं है। तो टिल नवंबर एंड यू कैन टेक योर टाइम एंड ऑल, बट मतलब यू गाइस आर अंडरस्टैंडिंग राइट कि दिसंबर से स्पीड अप करना है, दैट इज यू नीड टू बी रेडी। इसीलिए ये सेशन करवा रहे हैं हम, सो दैट यू गाइस आल्सो अंडरस्टैंड कि 2 महीने में काफी कुछ कर सकते हैं। एंड लाइक पर सेड, लाइक इवन इफ यू मेक 50 मिनट्स के स्लॉट, ऐसे तुम दिन में 10 स्लॉट भी बना देते हो तो इवन इन 10 आवर्स यू कैन अचीव अ लॉट। लाइक उसमें भी चलो लंच ब्रेक वो सब मान के लेट्स से यू सिट फॉर जस्ट 12 आवर्स एंड इन दैट यू कैन अचीव अ लॉट। एंड अच्छा खासा हो सकता है, लाइक 12 घंटे यू हैव 3 सब्जेक्ट्स एंड उसमें तुम नई चीजें भी पढ़ सकते हो। क्वेश्चन मतलब क्वेश्चन पेपर्स नहीं, राइट नाउ यू कैन फोकस ऑन पीवाईक्यूज भी हो जाएगा, सिलेबस भी हो जाएगा एंड ओवरऑल रिविजन भी हो जाएगा। बट यू दिस इज द टाइम टू स्टे वेरी कमिटेड टू योर स्टडीज एंड मतलब इट इज एसेंशियल टू टेक ब्रेक्स एंड ऑल, बट for the next 2 months you can push yourself physically कि रोज ऐसा कर रहे हो then it will be fine, I think.
Yeah, I mean this is the best case scenario that we're talking of. Well, obviously people will slack off in between and do not, I mean the best thing, मतलब it's a game of the mindset also.
Correct.
पूरे टाइम मतलब हम we cannot go about coursing ourselves at every point of time. मतलब कहीं at my time one teacher told me कि मतलब हर टाइम अपने आप को ऐसे करो कि if you're not able to do things then you make yourself realize, you tell yourself that you're not doing so good and stuff. But I think I feel otherwise as well कि जो करा है उसके लिए भी be happy. I mean इतना you are done, you accomplished so much. जो कर लिया, I mean because staying happy is and doing good, having a mental peace is also very important at this point of time.
करेक्ट। ये पॉइंट पे स्ट्रेस लेने से मतलब कुछ ऐसा नहीं होगा कि यू विल स्टार्ट स्कोरिंग एक्सेप्शनली गुड क्योंकि तुम ज्यादा स्ट्रेस ले रहे हो। नाउ इज द टाइम कि यू स्टार्ट फोकसिंग स्लोली ऑन द स्ट्रैटेजी एज वेल। नवंबर एंड से तो बहुत ज्यादा स्ट्रैटेजी का ही गेम है कि हाउ यू अटेम्प्ट द पेपर्स, हाउ वेल यू आइडेंटिफाई योर स्ट्रेंथ्स एंड वीकनेसेस और मतलब दिसंबर में लाइक वी सेड कि यू मस्ट टारगेट वीकली 3 पेपर्स जेई मेंस
Yes.
के एंड ठीक है फॉर दिसंबर यू कैन बी अ बिट लाइट और उसे कोई भी टाइम पे कर लो लाइक एज एंड व्हेन यू फाइंड द टाइम तुम्हारे शेड्यूल पे जैसा बैठ रहा है वैसा कर लो बट एनालिसिस इज अ मस्ट आफ्टर दैट एंड एनालाइज करने के बाद शॉर्ट नोट्स बनाना है खुद के सो दैट बाद में जब तुम रिवाइज कर रहे हो यू कैन क्विकली गेट एन ओवरव्यू कि ठीक है मेरी ये वीकनेस थी एंड आई नीड टू वर्क ऑन दिस तो दिसंबर के लिए रफली ये प्लान है एंड लाइक फॉर जनवरी ये 3 से भी मतलब जनवरी ऑल्सो यू कैन कीप लाइक 3 या 3 to 4 जेई मेंस के पेपर्स पर वीक रख
Yeah.
सकते हो बट अब थोड़ा सा और थोड़ा और क्लैरिटी के साथ पेपर्स देना अब बस ऐसे रैंडमली देने से नहीं चलेगा नाउ वी हैव टू ट्राई कि यू आर अटेम्प्टिंग द पेपर्स जैसे कि एक्चुअल जेई मेंस चल रहा है आप लोग का लाइक for the same time. I think it is 9 to 12 and 2 to 5. So
Right.
try giving papers during those times if possible. And अच्छे से सोना like January onwards you have to take care of your health very much like you cannot afford to fall sick weakness ये सब
Correctly.
बिल्कुल नहीं हो सकता like बीमार पड़े
Very
then
important.
you are at a disadvantage so you have to try to take care of your health as much as possible and वही है कि
Physical and mental health both have to be maintained.
करेक्ट करेक्ट मेंटल हेल्थ भी लाइक फालतू का ज्यादा टेंशन नहीं लेना एंड पेपर्स एनालाइज करते रहना एंड अपने वीकनेस पे वर्क करना अगर आप सेम मिस्टेक करोगे फॉर ऑल द पेपर्स गोइंग अहेड देन पेपर देने का पॉइंट नहीं है इट शुड बी लाइक यू शुड हैव दिस माइंडसेट कि अगर मुझे कोई सेम पेपर सेकंड टाइम देते मैं उसमें फुल ही ला लूंगा
Right.
वो लेवल की क्लैरिटी डेवलप करनी है
Yeah, but it does not make sense to ऐसे पूरा repeat a paper itself.
हाँ करेक्ट
Yeah.
करेक्ट
But
मतलब
हाँ, I was saying मतलब I had similar points only. We had discussed me and Anuj अभी कि क्या what हम लोग ने अपने अपने टाइम पे क्या किया और हमें अब लगता क्या बेस्ट है because obviously हम लोग follow नहीं कर पाए. In fact, at that point of time, our JEE Mains date were itself released in the mid of December and it was a surprise to all of us.
रियलिटी
कि mains we were not expecting to happen in January itself, but वो ऐसे ही आ गया like in the end of January, in the fourth week of January, and mains were conducted.
राइट
So we actually started doing, I mean, at least in my case, I started doing these mains papers. I think even in fact after the first week of January itself. So at any point of time, I mean, this is a best case scenario that you are telling. So try to follow it to the best case possible, but
हाँ
there's nothing like कि well, there can be different things that work for different people.
हाँ
तो
एंड सम पीपल आस्क कि कितना घंटा पढ़ना है लाइक वन
I don't think
वन
there's
पॉइंट रिटर्न इज कि स्लीप वेल जनवरी में इट इज वेरी एसेंशियल टू स्लीप वेल कि लाइक दिस इज जेई दिस इज नॉट कि रट्टा मार के हो जाएगा तुम्हें दिमाग लगाना उधर पेपर में जाके सो फॉर दैट यू नीड टू बी इन अ गुड मेंटल स्टेट ऑल्सो एंड फ्रेश रहना एंड लाइक आई सेड once you start practicing 9 January like 9 to 12 पेपर दोगे 2 to 5 पेपर दोगे like you will also feel slowly confident कि ठीक है मुझे जम रहे टाइम स्लॉट एंड ऐसे रैंडमली इफ यू गिव इट लाइक रात के 11 से 2 दे रहे हो दैट इज नॉट ऑफ एनी
that does not make any sense. मतलब active hours, your active hours should match to the exam time.
करेक्ट करेक्ट
And in fact, start waking up very early in
हाँ,
mains. क्योंकि
correct.
mains में किसी से भी पूछ लो, you would not get to know which slot you are giving the
हाँ.
paper in 2 days before the exam as
you
well.
have to ready you have to be ready for both the slots ऐसा
Yeah.
मतलब you can't complain बाद में कि बस दोपहर के लिए प्रैक्टिस किया था and सुबह आ गया so now is the time you can keep these things in mind and start working
Yeah, and if सुबह आ गया, you might as well have to wake up at around say 5 or
हाँ
something.
राइट सेंटर दूर आ गया ऐसा
Yeah.
कुछ हो गया so
That is still something that you can try doing from
हाँ.
January onwards. But yeah, जितना जल्दी कर लो,
हाँ,
जितना जल्दी,
तो-
at least you get your
right
times aligned to the active hours,
Correct.
9 to 12 and stuff. You get that. Start practicing, as I mentioned, JEE Mains. मतलब, even if you start at, say, one mains PY paper for the first 1 or 2 weeks of December, then quickly scale it up to 2, and then from the third, fourth week of December till January, till your first attempt, you're doing 3 mains paper a week. That is good enough. And I think that is separate from the test that you would have in your coaching and stuff. I mean, I think this is to be made clear. And
हाँ yes
उससे ज़्यादा भी करने की जरूरत नहीं है. I mean, then because you have to focus on analysis, you're already doing 3 papers a week. You are doing the tests that are being offered by your coaching and other
right
test series that you may have got.
right
So that is good enough. But उसके साथ साथ analyzing at any point of time जो topic weak है, when you're realizing during those attempts, going over that topic quickly, revising that. And then at every point of time maintaining that notebook of analysis की mistakes क्या क्या हो रहे हैं, going over that notebook, going over your short notes, that these are the best things that you can do for JEE Mains.
right and one more thing कि you need to attempt 2025 के papers primarily.
Yeah.
Like there are like about total 30 papers you would be having. So even if you just attempt like even 30 में से 20-25 भी target करते हो starting from December onwards, you will be at a very good position. And when you give these papers, you have to identify कि what is working for you. कि मतलब I tried many, I even tried कि पहले फिजिक्स देते हैं, बाद में पहले केमिस्ट्री देते हैं, एंड आई फाउंड आउट कि what works for me. तो मेरी स्ट्रेंथ आई रियलाइज वो टाइम की फिजिक्स बहुत अच्छा है एंड केमिस्ट्री इज रियली ब्रेकिंग डाउन माई कॉन्फिडेंस. तो एट द एंड में ट्राई कर करके आई डिसाइडेड कि मैं पीसीएम ऑर्डर में ही दे रहा हूँ. पहले फिजिक्स केमिस्ट्री मैथ्स दे देंगे.
And was TPM for me, chemistry अच्छा लगा. I
exactly.
did क्योंकि मेरे physics chemistry, if you're doing good enough, मतलब paper questions आ रहे हैं, मतलब it's easy enough to understand question आ रहे हैं या नहीं आ रहे हैं.
Correct.
And you move on. In fact, मतलब you have to जैसे जैसे you attempt through the papers, जैसे you also have to make those time limits क्योंकि mains is predictable. एडवांस में यू कैन नॉट डू एनी सॉर्ट ऑफ दिस थिंग कि किसके क्वेश्चन को पहले करना है, किसको कितना टाइम देना है. यू कैन नॉट मेक दैट सेक्शन दैट.
एडवांस का स्ट्रेटजी इज कंप्लीटली डिफरेंट. इफ यू गाइस वांट विल कवर दैट लेटर ऑन, बट एडवांस के लिए पेपर्स देना इज वेरी वेरी डिफरेंट कंपेयर्ड टू हाउ यू डील विद इट फॉर मेंस.
मतलब बट इन मेंस आई वाज सेइंग कि यू कैन इवन इनफैक्ट लाइक आई मेड दिस थिंग कि मुझे केमिस्ट्री 20 मिनट्स में करना है या 30 मिनट्स में करना है. आई डोंट एग्जैक्टली रिमेंबर राइट नाउ. आई थिंक 30-40 मिनट्स या व्हाटएवर. केमिस्ट्री का था 20-30 minutes and physics का 30-40 minutes, and I'll be done in say around hour and 15 minutes for physics chemistry, and then I go back to maths. Like maths would take time.
वापस
I think this is working.
हाँ ठीक है दिख रहा है आई थिंक.
Yeah. So as I was saying कि मेंस में यू कैन मेक दोस कंस्ट्रेंट्स ऑन योरसेल्फ कि मुझे इतने इतने टाइम में ये टॉपिक खत्म करना है, ये सब्जेक्ट खत्म करना है. देन वो बच्चे कुछ टाइम में भी एटलीस्ट फॉर मी मैं पूरा मैथ्स तो अटेम्प्ट नहीं हो पाता था एटलीस्ट इन द इनिशियल स्टेजेस ऑफ प्रैक्टिस. तो प्रैक्टिस करने से यू गेट दैट लेवल्स ऑफ स्पीड एंड एक्यूरेसी एज समवन वाज आस्किंग इन द बिगिनिंग.
राइट. तो सी लाइक ओवरऑल इफ आई वांट टू काइंड ऑफ ऐड अ फिनिशिंग टच टू इट कि जनवरी में जो तुम्हें करना है उसके लिए यू नीड टू स्टार्ट इन दिसंबर, एंड दिसंबर में जो करना है उसके लिए 2 महीने तक तुम्हें रेडी रहना. लाइक यू कांट से एट नवंबर एंड कि मेरा सिलेबस बचा अब क्या करूँ. लाइक तुम कर सकते हो बट दैट टाइम इट इज अ मच हार्डर केस कंपेयर टू व्हाट यू हैव राइट नाउ. राइट नाउ यू हैव 8 वीक्स, यू हैव 60 days एंड 60 days में बहुत कुछ हो जाएगा. And if you plan appropriately with what works for you, then you will also feel confident while attempting the papers कि हाँ मैंने ये chapters ये subjects पे focus किया and हाँ it is reflecting in my marks. And someone said कि उसके 110, 130, 40 marks आ रहा है. I'll tell you that is a very good range at which you are at right now. I can probably assure you मेरा कुछ 100 के पास होगा at this October November stage.
I did not even start it.
हाँ सिर्फ मैंने papers attempt भी नहीं किए थे at this stage. And मेरा percentile was very bad. But like I gave it appropriate time and मैं December से like it's a game about strategy. Like तुम कितना पढ़ते हो it's fine, but how you perform that is more important at the end. कि अगर तुम सब पढ़ रहे हो एंड में तुम उधर जाके सो गए पेपर में तो पॉइंट ही नहीं है. लाइक उससे तो अच्छा जग के थोड़ा बहुत अटेम्प्ट कर लेते हैं. तो yeah, you need to give papers in December and Jan, and उसके पहले you need to be ready to give the papers. And like some people might think कि this is an early session, like some other people might not have started taking such sessions, but this is honestly the right time कि the actions which I'm telling you right now, you can work on them and get at a much higher stage. But अगर तुम लेट करोगे अटेंड तो मतलब अगर लेट बताओ, इवन इफ आई टेल यू दिस 1 month लेट, देन इट विल बिकम मच हार्डर कि 30 days में सब क्रैम्प नहीं कर सकता. एंड मतलब इफ यू स्टार्ट रिविजन तो अच्छा खासा हो जाएगा. तो but do we have anything more to cover? अरे guys, you can also start putting your questions, so we'll answer a few questions and then we'll end this room. Or do you have anything more to cover, Karu?
I think yeah, that was largely that I wanted to say. I'll just have a look again.
ठीक है. हाँ एंड लाइक सी द बेसिक स्ट्रैटेजीज की एक सिंपल लेवल पे यू शुड बी नोइंग एवरीथिंग, बिकॉज लाइक आई सेड अर्लियर द फर्स्ट बैरियर इज टू रीच द एवरेज. पहले तुम्हें सबके इक्वल होना है एंड देन यू हैव टू लाइक उनसे ऊपर जाना है यूजिंग योर स्ट्रेंथ्स. एंड वही कि when you give more and more papers you'll realize कि what works for you and mental peace रखनी पेपर के टाइम. Okay, we got one question. So organic chemistry के लिए tips. I am in 12th standard PCM student. what would you think कि like organic chemistry के लिए कैसा करना चाहिए पर for
I mean,
JEE
I
mains
think,
and advanced, let's say?
okay. So yeah, as I said earlier as well, कि organic chemistry का at least थोड़ा basic conceptual understanding you'll have to get from a teacher or someone. सिर्फ रीडिंग से आई डोंट थिंक एटलीस्ट फॉर मी मुझे तो नहीं समझ आता था.
I think there are like
Yeah, lots of videos,
lots of
lots of
online resources.
even if your coaching classes, profs and stuff would be good enough to get at least some basic understanding. And once you have that, then उसके बाद एक बार basically कहीं पर भी you have gone through the topics through the help of some resource videos या कुछ, तो उसके बाद then just going over NCERT at least for mains और उसके रिएक्शंस को याद रखना एंड देन प्रैक्टिस करना फॉर ऑर्गेनिक केमिस्ट्री बिकॉज यू कैन हैव सम थोड़ा टिपिकल क्वेश्चंस देयर इट रिक्वायर्स प्रैक्टिस. वो सिर्फ इनऑर्गेनिक की तरह नहीं कि डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चंस आने. सो आई थिंक या दैट मेक्स सेंस कि पहले कंसेप्चुअल क्लैरिटी लाओ टू सम एक्सटेंट एंड देन गो अबाउट मेमोराइजिंग एंड प्रैक्टिसिंग.
Okay, we had one more question earlier. When he tries to do the JEE part, he starts thinking about should he do the semester prep first as he did not do well in Sem 1. So, Sem 1 means could you just clarify a bit if you are still in the stream A memer? And another, okay, could you just clarify the question a bit? And other than that, he has asked, he's currently in class 11th.
Right.
Actually, due to school, he's referring to school as semester 1.
Okay,
He's
school
dropped his,
before the midsems part.
right. So he's chopped his JEE prep and now he's stuck in JEE. He's accumulated backlogs. I mean, if he's still in 11th, then he has like one and
In my personal experience, I wasn't even clear me 11th के end तक कि मुझे JEE देना भी है या नहीं. So I had that level of underconfidence at that point of time, physics and other subjects. So this backlog, I mean, this is good. You can plan very well. मतलब अभी से ही जो टॉपिक चल रहा है उसके साथ इन एवरी सब्जेक्ट और समथिंग यू कैन प्लान कि मुझे ये टॉपिक साथ में करना है. अभी तक तो मोस्टली इफ यू आर इन अ नॉर्मल कोचिंग एवरीथिंग दे वुड नॉट हैव कवर्ड मल्टीपल टॉपिक्स. अभी तो क्या एनएलएम एंड स्टफ वुड बी गोइंग ऑन. So it is easy enough to plan your backlog coverage, I think, जब 11th में हो.
एक नेट इश्यू नेट चल रहा है क्या ठीक से चल रहा है.
Yeah.
So basically, if you're in 11th, you still have lots of time to cover your backlog. And if you pick up pace right now, honestly, like you can do very good. Like अच्छे खासे efforts डालोगे. The video is lagging a little bit. Let me see. Okay. Okay, so if you put like good amount of efforts, like 1.5 year is very far away, and बहुत लोग तो 11th के बाद पढ़ना start करते हैं for JEE. So yeah, there is lots of time to cover backlog, and you should not be stressed out. Like you have time if you put in the efforts, हो जाएगा honestly. Is the video quality fine? कितना okay, so some guys are asking कि how many hours should they study, and Amit Shukla is also asking कि कितने घंटे पढ़ाई करनी चाहिए.
I think again, I have never measured कि मैं कितने घंटे पढ़ रहा हूँ. But we have already given you कि strategy क्या बनानी है, कैसे टॉपिक्स करने हैं एंड लाइक कितना फोकस यू हैव टू गिव टू ईच टॉपिक. नाउ आइडेंटिफाई योर स्ट्रेंथ्स इन द लेवल अप टू व्हिच यू वांट टू रीच एज योर फाइनल गोल एंड देन अकॉर्डिंगली जो उसमें एफर्ट देना पड़ रहा है. लाइक आई थिंक इट डिफर्स फ्रॉम पर्सन टू पर्सन.
करेक्ट. लाइक मेरे जो वीक टॉपिक्स है उसमें ऑब्वियसली मुझे थोड़ा ज्यादा टाइम देना पड़ रहा है कंपेयर टू माय स्ट्रॉन्गर टॉपिक्स. बट इफ यू वांट लाइक ऑन एन एवरेज आई थिंक फॉर द नेक्स्ट 2 months at least 10 hours a day, like I think they should at least be sitting 10 hours a day.
I mean, I'll still say कि मतलब measure ही मत करो ना. मुझे that solves the problem.
Exactly. Like why are you measuring? Like सुबह बैठो and आराम से खत्म होता है तब उठो.
But whenever you want to take a break, do go take a break. I mean, I made a point कि मैं हर रोज मतलब मुझे साइकिलिंग करना बहुत पसंद था. मुझे कुछ फैमिली के साथ में वो आई एम अ बिग फूडी. मुझे बाहर खाना खाने जाना, रेस्टोरेंट जाना, आई लव टू विजिट देम. सो आई मेड अ पॉइंट कि मैं वीक में 2-3 बार वो रेस्टोरेंट जा रहा हूँ. मैं हर रोज साइकिलिंग कर रहा हूँ. ऑन संडेज आई एम प्लेइंग गेम्स विद माय फैमिली एज वेल एंड डूइंग अदर स्टफ एज वेल. मल्टीपल आई एम रीडिंग बुक्स एंड स्टफ. तो वो सब मैं कर रहा था. आई मीन it is the point that as we mentioned कि you have to keep yourself happy as well.
Correct.
You have to keep yourself at peace mentally. तो जैसे भी you are able to attain that, जैसे भी you are able to attain your set targets as well, to figure out the best pattern out for yourself. I don't think that you should constrain yourself by anything. Like, in fact, I don't think it makes sense to constrain yourself in any perspective. I mean, this is some mistake that I think I was doing in my JEE time, that I was constraining myself कि मुझे इस target पे achieve करना है. This is something very personal to me कि मुझे ये टारगेट पे अचीव करना है. इट एक्चुअली मेड मी कि whenever I was actually able to reach the target itself, I was not able to go beyond that. तो और जब मैं कर सकता था, आई हैड द पोटेंशियल, बट वेन आई हैड टेकन दिस डिस्कशन इन माइंड कि मेरे को ये परसेंटाइल लानी है, मेरे को इतने 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 मार्क्स चाहिए सपोज से इन जेईई में, तो मैं फिर उससे आगे का एफर्ट ही नहीं डाल रहा. So that made a problem for me itself.
Correct.
But then eventually got rectified. Parents ने counsel किया or something. But yeah, so that's the thing. I don't think it makes sense to restrict yourself, at least in number of hours that you have to study in a day. I don't think. I mean, उसको मत काउंट करो. That's the best thing that you can do. मतलब बहुत कम में हो रहा है, very good. मतलब कभी कभी थोड़ा ज्यादा लग रहा है, that is also fine. I mean, but enjoy yourself during the process. Enjoying the process
Correct.
is really important. I mean, I think Anuj would also perhaps agree कि
Definitely.
मुझे मतलब my JEE time right now, it feels like it was a very good time. मुझे तो अच्छा ही लगा.
हाँ राइट. लाइक मतलब डोंट मेक इट लाइक बस पढ़ाई करनी है एंड बस एग्जाम देने के लिए इतनी मेहनत कर रहे हैं, सैक्रिफाइसिंग एवरीथिंग. दैट नोशन नीड नॉट बी देयर. लाइक इवन आई यूज्ड टू हैव फन. लाइक आई यूज्ड टू सिट इन कोचिंग एंड मैं अपने दोस्तों के साथ उधर वी यूज्ड टू टेक ब्रेक्स टुगेदर एंड मजे भी करते थे. तो यू नीड टू मेंटेन दैट साइकिल कि थोड़ा मेहनत भी करनी है. लाइक यू नीड टू वर्क हार्ड, यू नीड टू गेट टायर्ड, यू नीड टू रिफ्रेश एंड यू नीड टू वर्क हार्ड अगेन. बस वर्क हार्ड करके नहीं होता. लाइक एट अ पॉइंट एग्जॉस्शन हो जाएगा एंड देन यू विल बी लाइक शिट यार कुछ हो नहीं रहा है, एंड देन दैट बैड साइकिल विल स्टार्ट वेयर यू आर कंफ्यूज्ड कि व्हाट यू आर डूइंग रॉन्ग. तो
yeah, so enjoying, I mean, reflecting कि as I mentioned earlier कि मैंने इतना accomplish कर लिया है, मेरे को enjoy भी करना है then उसके बाद. So that is also a point. I mean, keep the cycle virtuous. I mean, and not vicious कि पूरे टाइम हम work hard ही कर रहे हैं.
हाँ. So on a similar note, we have some questions by Harshveer is asking कि how to improve maths in for JEE 2027 and he is not able to cross 30 plus in maths. I'll tell you
2027, that is, and that means you're in 11th right now.
Right. And like 30 plus cross नहीं हो पा रहा है, honestly that is not an issue at all.
At this point, what syllabus have you done? And you're talking about crossing 30 plus.
And exactly, like मतलब problem क्या है? Like you still have lots of time to work out and मतलब how to improve maths. Okay, that is a good point, but don't focus कि तुम्हारे marks कम आ रहे हैं.
Again, you're constraining yourself. So that is something that we are telling कि मत करो.
हाँ, exactly. Like you should focus on making your fundamentals clear. अगर fundamentals clear है, they will take you a long way. Like सारे overall maths में help करते जाएगा. Maths is very interdependent. Like calculus आता है उससे तो मैं आधा syllabus आ गया basically.
Yeah.
तो you have lots of time and how to improve maths practice. मतलब the short answer is lots of practice and advanced के questions करो. Like advanced के करोगे, mains के करोगे, तभी तुम्हें और confidence आएगा. And maths तो मतलब you just cannot skip practicing PYQs.
Yeah, and if you have the time, then at this point focus on getting every topic to that level of advance itself. मतलब हर किसी को in great detail and conceptual clarity you should do it. Yeah, and that was it. But again, as I mentioned, that was largely for 12th class students. ठीक है, अभी you spend time on trigonometry because you do not have any other topic to do as is, and that would help you. But yeah, largely then you later realize that trigonometric derivation that does not mean that you do not do trigonometry in the first place itself.
Right. And we have one more question from Lalita Singh he or she is in 10th and अभी तक कुछ नहीं किया है, अभी तक time waste कर दिया, तो क्या करना चाहिए? Like you're still in 10th and like you have lots of time to cope up. Like
I don't think about JEE at this point of time. I think you go and take some career counseling. Do decide even if you want to do JEE.
That is also a very valid point. But if let's say you have already done counseling and you want to do JEE, then मतलब you have lots of time. This false notion कि 9 से 10 से पढ़ना है तभी ही होगा, that is very wrong. Like, I have met many people here जिन लोग ने 11th के बाद पढ़ना स्टार्ट किया and they are here at IIT Bombay. तो उसका तो स्ट्रेस लेना बंद कर दो, ये टाइम वेस्ट किया है. बट इट इज वेरी गुड दैट यू आर एबल टू रिकॉग्नाइज योर फॉल्ट्स एट द सेम टाइम. तो वो फॉल्ट्स रिकॉग्नाइज किया एंड मे बी इन 10th स्टैंडर्ड यू कैन इंस्टेड फोकस ऑन की मतलब अच्छे हैबिट्स डेवलप करो, टू लाइक टाइम मैनेजमेंट करना सीखो एंड मतलब
Now,
But
get a flavor of some competitive
correct,
exams if you want it.
correct.
At our time, we had NTSC, KVP, where I think they've been scrapped now. But there'll still be some state talent search examinations, some good these IAPT examinations that if you want to give, if you're really inclined, you can go about giving them. But I think अभी तो chill मार मुझे करो for now.
Huh. So, guys, you can put some questions or we'll end it by 12. We'll end this
Yeah.
stream by 12. So, you can put some final 2-3 questions and we'll try to take them up. ठीक है, let me look. ठीक है.
No, maybe.
Ready? हाँ ठीक है ठीक है. And मतलब someone is asking for rank. मतलब see that's what you are doing wrong again कि ऐसा you are just setting a benchmark for yourself. And I मतलब obviously we also targeted ranks but that's not entirely necessary कि मुझे AR1 आना है वैसा हजारों लोग बोल रहे हैं. So instead of that you could
I mean,
focus.
I to be very honest, I never had this think of coming AIR1 मतलब मैंने कभी सोचा
Exactly
नहीं.
same.
In fact, मैंने अपनी preferences में I never failed IIT Bombay CS.
हाँ
I mean, I wanted economics. That's a different story. I mean, this is not for this session.
हाँ correct.
I wanted economics. You can go and check up the ranks of every department at IIT Bombay at different IITs. So उस range में I got a rank. I mean, 1400 to 2000 something. And yeah, but again, don't constrain yourself. That was
Exactly,
again
right.
something that I was doing. कि मुझे मन था कि मुझे इकोनॉमिक्स चाहिए तो मैंने सोच रखा मैं 2100 रैंक लानी है. That's refusing. So that is not the thing that you have to do.
Exactly. Like मतलब you मतलब पर का तो आ गया रैंक but you don't know ऐसा will this work for you or not. Like
Yeah.
that's not a good mindset.
Yes.
And we have one more question कि 3 months में सबसे अच्छा क्या करना चाहिए. तो like we have already covered it multiple times. Next 2 months में syllabus लाना है. कॉन्फिडेंस से अच्छा खासा सिलेबस कवर हो जाना चाहिए शॉर्ट में. स्ट्रेंथ वीकनेस आइडेंटिफाई करनी है. एंड दिसंबर में पेपर्स अटेम्प्ट करना स्टार्ट करना है. एंड यू हैव टू बी लाइक वेरी मतलब अपने टाइम को एक रिसोर्स की तरह ट्रीट करो. लाइक डू नॉट वेस्ट अ लॉट ऑफ इट बट रिलैक्स भी रहो. लाइक यू डोंट नीड टू टेक टू मच ऑफ स्ट्रेस एट द एंड कि लोग बहुत स्ट्रेस लेते हैं. इवन आई थिंक आई यूज टू टेक अ लॉट ऑफ स्ट्रेस एट अ पॉइंट कि क्या होगा बट एट द सेम टाइम मैं पढ़ भी रहा था. ऐसा नहीं कि मैं स्ट्रेस ले रहा था पढ़ ही नहीं रहा था.
I mean, that's the best thing. मतलब जब तक you are involved in multiple things, from and I'd say, in fact, the doing that thing कि बीच बीच में breaks लेना, that actually energizes you. You get some amount of mental pressure कि मुझे काम करना है. I have to perform because you have the guilt of actually spending time on other activities than studying, and that eventually equips you to do better in your studies itself. And then, yeah, we talking about stress की बस कुछ ना कुछ करते रहो. You don't have stress at all.
हाँ like you don't like we said earlier कि sacrifice ऐसा कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं है. Like if you have some hobbies, you like to sing, you like to even dance or do some other kind, you like to draw, let's say, then वो भी side by side कभी बीच बीच में करते रहो. It is very important to stay refreshed during these last 3-4 months.
Yes. I mean, I wanted to see some shows. I was seeing it till one day before JEE Mains as well. I was going cycling. I was eating, as I mentioned.
Right. तो health की भी care लेनी है. That is also सबसे अच्छी चीज which you can do it for the next 2-3 months.
Yeah, right. Completely agree.
Okay, so we'll wait a few minutes if anyone has any questions. Meanwhile, do you have anything more to add, Parv? कि क्या करना चाहिए next 2-3 months में? I think we have covered it
Yeah, we've
very
covered it
thoroughly.
very extensively.
हाँ, we have covered
Maybe
it
if someone
nicely.
has doubts, then we are very happy to answer.
Hmm.
Otherwise, yeah. Maybe if someone missed the session, you can just go over it on a fast pace and just.
हाँ, right. ठीक है. ये एक पॉइंट कवर कर लेते हैं बस कि
I think, yeah, I did cover it to some extent as well. Just to make it clear, I was also mentioning that you make your daily schedule before sleeping itself on any given day, because then you are like much more clear कि करना क्या क्या है. I was doing these mistakes in 11 that I was deciding at that point of time every day कि मुझे अब थोड़ी सी trigonometry करनी है. मैं तो कुछ थोड़े time I did trigonometry, then I started using my phone, I did multiple other things, and then eventually I wasted my day. So then it makes much more sense to ऐसे पूरा schedule बना लो, as I was talking about those 50 minute का slots. And now I also explained the reasoning कि मैं 50 minutes का slots क्यों ले रहा हूँ and not 1 hour slots. And then whatever different things you have to include in your schedule, you're practicing, you're reading things, you're attending classes, completing, doing self-study as well. तो ये सब का mix रहना चाहिए in your schedule to as much extent as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So cool, I think. I mean,
Yeah. Okay, guys, then I think we can end the session. If you guys want to ask some more questions or want more such similar sessions or want some different kinds of sessions, then you can let us know on the WhatsApp community as well. And there you'll also be able to find some free resources which can help in quick revision. And even we are also providing PYQs which you guys require. And yeah, if I think we have answered all the queries we had, so ठीक है. We'll be seeing you guys in the next stream if you guys enjoyed this. And if you want something unique or what you can do for JEE Advanced, like the strategy for JEE Advanced, you can let us know on the WhatsApp community and we'll try our best to provide that exam. चलो then. Let's
sure.
end the stream.
Nice, it was fun.
Okay. Thank you everyone for attending. All the best.